Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where you can hear all the latest in pop culture and gaming news and reviews. And as usual, I'm here with my co
Oh,
host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
oh, we're not on the screen, man. Got to put us up there.
You are
They can't
absolutely
see
right.
us. There we are. Hey there.
We are on
Hey,
the screen
Christ.
now. That is true.
Evening.
Oh, I almost got everything right. I almost did it.
That's okay. That's all
Unless
right.
you remind me, I always make that
Yeah,
little
evening,
error.
everybody.
Anyhow, good evening to everybody. We are here. This is the Night Owl, and we are talking about pop culture news and reviews and gaming news. And we are here with Professor R2. How's it going?
Oh, doing well. Had a very busy week. Spent a lot of time yesterday at an event talking to a lot of people in a very crowded, very loud room. So my voice is a little rough today, but I hope everyone will forgive me.
That's 100% fine. Everybody will forgive you. That happens sometimes. We were doing a late night conversation, and sometimes you strain your voice a bit. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. And as usual, it's just great to be here. First of all, on Rumble, this is a Rumble driven show. Rumble is a place where we can talk about our views freely, and it's a very welcoming platform. And we always enjoy being here. And really, uh, f- with a free speech platform like Rumble, it's always great to be here. This is that's where our home base is for this show. So, hi to everybody on Rumble that's watching us.
Yeah.
Always great to see you all here. And of course, other platforms, wherever you are, anybody that's listening, that's great as well. So, I guess let's talk about some things today. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, but I saw an article today that Tulsa King is doing really well in the rating. Did you see that?
I've been seeing that. Interesting. I did not have Paramount Plus for quite some time. It's been probably 8 months since I've had it, and I had not really watched Tulsa King before I lost it, and so everyone's been talking about it over the last few days. So I was like, I really need to go check this show out, especially like with some of my background and having lived in Oklahoma at one point. I'm like, I should go look this up. So I've started watching. I think on episode 5 or 6 of the first season. It is dynamite. That show is so good. I can't wait to see what they're doing in this second season. It's really great.
Here, I just was able to pull up this article.
Yeah.
Uh, this thing here, what's also interesting, in addition to all the stuff that you said, first of all, the first season was great, and people were really looking forward to the second one. But this is one of those occasions where the first season came out, some people saw it, and gradually more people were telling more people about it. And it's a show that quietly more and more and more and more people, word to mouth, watched it. And then the second season comes along, and it's apparently it premieres to record audience, like really great numbers, especially for Paramount Plus, and really knocking it out of the park. And a few things that are interesting is that while this was filming, they tried to cancel Stallone. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
do. That was ridiculous.
it was
But
ridiculous. I'm so happy that at the time, sometimes I'm not aggressive in my opinions, and at the time, I was really aggressive about this. I said, you know what, this is just BS. It's nonsense. I don't believe any of this. And one of the main reasons they did it, in my opinion, Sylvester Stallone is known, when it comes to his politics, I think he's a little more right leaning. Not that I think he sits around and talks about it all day. Even that first season, there was a few. Uh, there's a dialogue there that somebody's talking about, woke stuff, and he seems to be not excited about it. Although it's his character and not him, but people kind of
yeah,
said that's kind of what he really is like, and he's more right leaning and whatever. And the truth is, his character is whatever his character is. I don't think he shoves his politics down people's throat. Certainly
no.
not like a lot of these other Hollywood celebrities that I see.
I
So I
mean, if
don't
it's
really.
if,
Sorry,
if
go
it's
on.
if it's his character, and it. I mean, maybe it is partly his own some political leanings or whatever. But all the stuff that he's been saying, at least everything that I've seen in that first season, it all comes from the point of view of the character. This is a guy who's been out of the world for over 2 decades, right?
And he's like
He
Mr. Macho Man too.
Yeah, and yeah, he's Mr. Macho. He lives by the code, of the family that he was a part of, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. So he looks at somebody and he's like, what the hell's going on with you, right? Like I don't, none of this makes sense because that he's almost been pulled out of time and been brought back into the today, and now all of this stuff, this some of the stuff that we consider part of just our modernity is completely insane to him, right? And so
Right.
yeah, I can see how like people start to assign some of those things to him. I think he's probably a more centrist than a lot of people in Hollywood, which of course makes him a alt-right crazy by a lot of people's standards today. But no, I don't think he's going out of his way to insert politics into the show at all. Again, I haven't seen all of it, but nothing that I've seen so far
No,
has
no, nothing,
influenced.
nothing. I really don't think so. And I think he's great. The first season was great. This second season, it's early to tell. There's been 2 episodes. I watched the first one. Really was trying to find a minute to watch the second one, but I want to do it in a way that's not rushed because I want to enjoy it. But I like what I see. Sylvester Stallone, he's a likable guy. I like him. I like seeing him and stuff. And this to me feels like something good. Sometimes you've seen him stuff that I don't think. I'm not saying he's good in a lot of different things,
Yeah,
but this character that he plays on this show is really very suitable for him. It's a
yeah,
good fit. It's the type of acting we don't usually see him do anymore because it's usually like, oh, he still has to be some action guy or whatever.
yeah.
Uh, this reminds me more. It's different because it's not like Rocky, but I'm saying this is more like he's a unique character,
Hmm.
which I
Yeah,
like, and he's capable of doing it. It's very much tailored for him. Really
absolutely.
like what they
Yeah.
do on the show. And the reason why this is kind of a win, imagine you have all these networks that spill all this money and all this the Acolyte costs 230 million, not 180 million to make, a few episodes of that crap. Meanwhile, you have this thing. I'm not saying it didn't cost money. I'm sure it cost something to make, but I'm saying I don't think they're saying this is like 230 million. I would think it's not. Although I don't know what the exact budget is. I'm sure Stallone isn't cheap, but I'm just saying that at the end of the day, this is a show that delivers what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a show with a real star that's really doing something, and it delivers on that. It's not just some nonsense.
Oh yeah. I've been really surprised at how well this show has been made with the script and everything. Like you said, it's a great part for him. And no, there I don't see them. I don't know what the cost of this was. I was trying to look up the production cost real quick, but they're not throwing money away like crazy. I understand that apparently in the second season they decided to go film in Atlanta, partly for some they're getting some filming tax credits and stuff, I guess. So they moved a lot of the filming to Atlanta instead of filming in Tulsa. But they're trying to save money where they can. They're trying to make this show for a reasonable amount of money instead of ridiculous money. Like again, like things like the Acolyte. Like it's under what conditions were you ever going to be getting enough benefit from some Disney Plus show that cost you $230 million? That's not including pre-production. That's not including marketing that they spent on the show. Like, in what universe were you ever going to get that money back? It's insane. And to for this to be getting such great views on a really struggling streaming service,
Right.
hey, that's incredible. People clearly are gravitating to this show. They find it fascinating. They want to hear, they want to hear what he has to say. They want to see the character continue to evolve. They want to continue to see what's happening in the story. So that's fantastic. Yeah, really
Yeah,
excited to get caught up.
right, exactly. I mean, it's somehow it gives me hope. Although you don't have many stars like Sylvester Stallone these days, but it gives me hope that they did something that's against all logic. And a guy who's already 78 years old, like a star, they gave him some show. He's like a mafia guy and whatever. I mean, you wouldn't know that this thing would work, and somehow all of the pieces of this puzzle come together,
Yeah,
and it's just an enjoyable show. The type of thing that you want to sit down and watch. When you think
yeah,
of series that are compelling and interesting and fun, there's also a fun element. It
there is.
manages. It's on one hand, it's like it takes itself seriously, but there's a bit of a wink and some humor in it too. So you're getting a balance, and this is really bringing out the best sides of Stallone. Some humor, some action, some drama, some crime, and there overall, I don't know why, it's a fun show to watch. How many
It
shows
is.
do you watch do you really feel are fun to watch?
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. I was completely drawn after the first couple episodes, completely drawn in. You get to the in the first season, you get to the episode where he's doing his driving test, and the guy comes up and tries to kill him during his driving test, and it's just oh my goodness, it was just hilarious. The dialogue from him and the driving instructor in the car, and then the action scene going on around it with him driving through the city. It's hilarious because there's cars all around him that are crashing and having accidents, and the driving instructor is freaking out. He's navigating this car through all of this chaos without ever getting a scratch until the very end of the car chase. So it's pretty hilarious that he's freaking out that he's going to get them killed, and it's everyone else around them that's getting hurt. So it's pretty funny.
Definitely funny stuff going on, and I also it's not supposed to be funny, but I also think it's funny that they tried to cancel him because apparently he thought that it was like a scene that had to have young people in it, and there was like older fat people. So their claim is that he told somebody, "Why are there all these fat slobs here?" And you know what? I don't think a guy like needs to lose his livelihood over that. I don't know if that's what he said. I don't know if there were fat slobs there, but some
Yeah, I think he essentially said something to the effect of, we need some beautiful women in the background here. Why don't we have any attractive women for extras in this, like in the back of the scene or
right.
whatever.
And you know
And
what?
people just got furious over this.
Furious meltdowns. People were having meltdowns like right and left. And the thing that I said at the time, he's Sylvester Stallone. He knows what a movie's supposed to be. He knows what a production is. With all due respect, like he walked in, he thought that scene needed to have beautiful ladies in it. There weren't beautiful ladies there, so he said something. I mean, enough. What if you're a fat slob, like an older fat slob, you know that's what you are. Like, let's put it this way. If I was standing there on the set with Sylvester Stallone and he was expecting like swimsuit models, and instead it was like me and Sean standing there drinking a beer, and he walked in and he said, "Hey, I was expecting swimsuit models, not you two slobs," I wouldn't be offended. I'd probably say, "Man, Sylvester Stallone is right. He needed some young ladies here. Why am I here?" You know what I mean?
I would hope that there was a scene and we would both look at each other and make a funny face that the audience would love.
And even if he walked up to me with a beer and he said, "You're a fat slob. I was supposed to have swimsuit models here," I just burst out laughing. You know what I mean? I want him to also come up to me and say it like Sylvester Stallone, like, "Hey, you fat slob," you know that? And like, I'll find that funny. You know what I mean? I'll laugh. I'll be happy that he even talked to me.
Now what I know what I'm going to get you for your birthday price. I'm going to get you Stallone cameo of him calling you a fat slob. So
does he do cameos? His cameo is probably like $7 million.
And he's like, "What the hell? I'm talking to a squid."
Hey, yo, who am I talking to? This orange
What is
squid.
this? Take a lap.
Yeah, yo, I'm talking to this orange tadpole.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I wouldn't be offended at all. Whoever went and like whined that he said that, I don't even know if he said it. There's no proof that he even said it, but let's just say he said exactly what they accused him of. So what? So what? He's Sylvester Stallone. I that was where I put my foot down.
I love you. I love him calling you a tadpole, and you're like, "No, that is our word."
Yeah, I mean, Mur Rockster says, let me see if I can highlight this comment. He said, "Yeah, I was expecting swimsuit models, not some Muppet squid and an animated scholarly robot." So yeah, like I said, I don't know what that whole fuss was about. I'm happy that whoever decided to put their foot down put their foot down. Stallone is not an easy guy. They've tried to cancel him before.
Oh yeah.
Back when the Me Too thing came out, and every day you heard some like wacky story here and wacky story there. Somebody tried to put, pin something on Stallone like from 30 years earlier, and they already started like on Twitter like cancel, blah blah blah, and then from what I remember, it turned out that it was all nonsense.
Yeah.
It
Like
always
they
is.
didn't have anything. It was just dumb crap with nothing. Like and that was really part of that whole Me Too thing. That I'm not saying that there weren't some people that did bad things, and I'm not saying that
Oh yeah.
it wasn't fair to highlight those people and the bad things. But man, did that whole thing go out of control quickly. And I remember, you know what I like about myself? I know this sounds pompous, but you know what I like about myself is that when something historic is happening, I can see it for whatever it is very quickly. Like I very quickly said, this is overboard. This is not right, whatever is going on here. Yeah, yes, I'm sure there's a few people there like those kind of Cosby or Weinstein or whatever it is. There's a few people, certainly you can highlight something bad that they did, but I'm saying that doesn't mean that all the men in the world are like that, and it doesn't mean that every single guy that once said 2 words to a woman is now lumped into that group. But at that moment in time, they wouldn't let stuff like that go. I mean, they were really, trying. It's as if like any person they could cancel would be a huge win for them. And for some reason, they had their eyes set on Stallone. They just couldn't pull it off. And then when the show was doing well, they had their eyes set on him again, maybe because they thought that he was Republican or whatever it is. So they tried again, and again they failed.
For some reason, they granted all the power to the bitter ex-girlfriends of the world for a short time. I think that's how they'll describe it in history.
And you know what? Not to get too political, there's things and places happening in the world where you see a lot of those same women that we're talking about, all these rights and movements and whatever, that they're now supporting, without really getting into it, all that kind of watermelon and weird flags, that they're like supporting people who actively do the very things that they said that they didn't like. Meaning the very thing, some of the women that were fighting for very specific things, they're now supporting people who do those things.
Yes. Are we talking about a certain middle country-ish place?
That may or may not have those kind of emojis with the watermelon and the flags.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I
like,
have no idea what that means, but I assume we're on the same page.
I think we are. I mean, today I saw something that a lady was writing something about Johnny Depp and how could people in the world support somebody who's so abusive and blah 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 and all this stuff. And meanwhile, in her name, you have like the watermelon, the flag, and all that stuff. It's like, if you're gonna go and like have all this stuff in your profile and in your name and all these flags, maybe it's best that you just don't say anything. Because like if you're looking for like abuse and stuff like that, the people that you're championing are, abuse. Do you get what I'm saying? It's something that's and in many cases, and of course the girl that was doing this was like some white blonde woman with a bunch of like pronouns in her bio. Sometimes you have these kind of like clueless, the ally white lady that wants to support some cause, but she doesn't even know what she's supporting.
Everyone wants to matter, even if it's a delusional, made-up cause.
You know what? And again, I'm not trying to get political, but I just want to say this. The whole thing with Ukraine and Russia broke out. Do you know which flag I had in my bio?
None?
Exactly. You know why I didn't have any flags in my bio?
Because he got no dog in the fight?
That and another thing. I don't know enough about that conflict to start putting flags in my bio. I know that those people on Ukraine and Russia, if you now put them in a bar, they all speak the same language and they're going to drink the same vodka and do shots together. So what I'm trying to say is that there is something going on there. It's beyond my immediate understanding. I'm sure that if I lived there and lived the life that they live, I would understand it more. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't take interest in stuff that's happening, but that is a complicated, on the verge of a type of civil war that I don't fully understand, and I don't want to put any flags because I just don't know enough about it. At least
Yeah,
I'm
man.
honest. Most people, they're like, oh, well, I want to help these people. It's important. I like trans rights, so I'm going to put this watermelon here. The watermelon and the trans rights are two conflicting things. They will never go together.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the more nuanced I'm feeling, and I'm like, and it's funny because like there's all the jokes and memes about like writing a hateful comment or typing an infuriated response to something and then deleting it, and I'm like, I'm totally at that point in my life where I'm like, I'm old enough to like, I don't have to respond to every single thing on Twitter anymore. I don't care.
I don't have to respond either, but I do. Hypocrisy still annoys me, and I
Yeah,
think that if people don't know anything about a conflict, they don't know any detail, not even all of them. Usually, they don't know even the first detail. Just stop with all the weird hashtags and putting all this stuff in your bio. You don't know what it means anyways. Just shut up.
I
Talk
think
about
that
something that you do know.
I think that the internet, by its very nature and existence, encourages that though, and people don't have the presence of mind enough to just like stop and not say anything.
They want to feel like
Oh
they're
yeah.
part of something, that they're making a
Yeah,
difference in the world. Wow,
Yes.
we're really
Yeah.
making a difference. No, you're not making anything. No, you're just doing stupid crap. But nobody
yeah.
wants to tell them the truth, and they don't want to hear the truth.
But everyone wants to matter, so they all look for a cause, and then the internet is just all nonsense, so they think they're making a difference.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's like the thing with, the current thing. They have to support the current thing. And that's really what
Yes.
most of these people do. And the younger you go, the younger the generation is, the more they want to support the current thing. They don't understand what the current thing is. They don't know. Like recently, I'm sorry, I know I'm totally going off the rails here, but recently I've been seeing Greta Thunberg, and she now is supporting certain watermelons in the Middle East. And what do you even want? I mean, weren't you supposed to be a climate activist? First of
Oh,
all, if you
she's
went,
an attention whore at this point.
Yes, that is all she is.
if she wanted to change the climate, and let's say she went to this place with the watermelons and tried to talk to them about it, they would not care about the environment. They wouldn't care about her either.
Yeah,
And she's walking around with like this bullhorn, and she's like, I want democracy. It's like, where do you want democracy? Where the watermelons are? There's no democracy there. You're not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just a dumb, stupid girl that doesn't understand anything that's going on around her. In the past, I felt bad a bit for her because I figured her parents were shoving her into all these places and using her as a tool of some sort, where
Yeah.
other people were using her as well, and I kind of felt bad for her. But after recently, I've seen her like going around and doing like rap. She's rapping with a bullhorn about the watermelon place. I
that's
think
not going
that's
to win me over.
no, and she's so cringy and annoying. She's just so cringy and annoying. I'm sorry, and she's over 18 at this point, right?
Yeah,
She is the very definition of a useful idiot.
yes.
That is all she is.
She is the most useful idiot, and then they keep arresting her now. She's like, I want to fight for the rights and the
All
democracy.
the arrests.
Oh, but she gets attention.
Every
for
one of
that.
those are staged. Every last one.
Can't
You
have-
see any one of those where she's weeping because she's been hit with pepper spray, or where she's been they had to drag her off the ground or anything like that? No, every one of them, she's peacefully standing there looking right at the camera, and it's a show. It's totally
Yeah.
theater.
I've never seen her bleeding or setting herself on fire for a cause.
And you never will.
She's 21 years old, but she acts like she's like 7 years old. She has this. I'm sorry. This may be controversial now. She has this annoying, dumb look on her face. I don't know. I see her and it annoys me. And
How
I know
dare you?
that's a terrible thing to say. I know I'm a terrible person. What
How
can I
dare
say?
you?
Not terrible, just for stating
It's
what you
just
think.
you look in her eyes and you can tell that she's exactly the useful idiot that you guys said, and I'm not a fan.
Every time she comes up, all I can think of is Ricky Gervais's rant about celebrities, and he's like, "Most of you have spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg,"
Yeah. Oh
and I'm
my
like, "Did
goodness.
she
Yeah.
ever go to school?"
That intro was that was the Emmys.
I don't remember which
I think it
one,
was the
but
Emmys. But oh man, yeah, he got up there
legendary.
and he just gave it to them. Get up
That was
here,
the best. That
accept
was
your
the best speech.
award, and
Yeah.
go back to your seats.
Accept
That
your little award.
that
Thank
was
your
like
God and your agent.
Thank your God and your agent, and back to your seat.
that was like the best speech. I don't think you can top that speech at an award ceremony. That's
Never.
probably the best I've ever seen. It's not even like I listen or watch Ricky Gervais all day, but I'll give credit where credit is due. That monologue at those awards at the Golden Globes is probably the best I've seen.
Hmm.
It's really hard to top that one.
Yeah, it was something special. I just rewatch it every now and then just to remember how good it was.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes. It's a good one. John Malama says, "Hey, Price. Hey, R2. Hi, chat. How's it going, John Malama? And hi to Sean as well."
Thanks. I honestly never watched her initial claim to fame, that speech that
How
she
dare
did.
you?
That is the only part I've ever seen, and I've never liked her.
No, she looked like there was something wrong with her then, and it looks
Yeah.
like there's something wrong with her now. Now, before you tell me, oh, she's on the spectrum, listen,
I
I don't
don't
know what
care.
on the spectrum. She's walking around with a bullhorn rapping about the watermelons. I don't know. Like, she's on the spectrum. It doesn't cover everything.
To be honest, if there is a spectrum, we're all on it, and you're still
Right.
crazy.
Right. We're all on it. And the thing is I think they really play up the she's on the spectrum bit. I
Mhm.
think that she's just a girl that was initially used by her parents as some kind of asset, and now she's just her own independent, useful idiot.
Plus, she's had fame for how old was she when she did that speech? She's been thrust into fame by, I'm gonna say, abusive parents, in my opinion, to make your child do that type of work. And she's been dealing with this fame worldwide for how many years? She's not right.
I think she was 14 maybe when she made that first.
Yeah.
14, 15 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. It's messed up, man.
I see there's at least some pushback. Laughable. Greta Thunberg slammed over Insane Rant.
Oh.
Yeah. She's a joke.
You know, I think that she's lost favor even with some of the weirdos that liked her. You know, I don't know if we're going to see Leonardo DiCaprio once again sitting and consulting with her about the environment.
Yeah. Now she's just chasing that fame, trying to stay relevant.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why she's out there with the, as you say, watermelons and
how much harder
flags.
How much harder is that going to be? It's like a child actor, but like not. And I don't know. That's a whole new spectrum of child actor losing relevancy. I feel like she's going to go nuts by the time she's
Remember that Leonardo DiCaprio, am I wrong on this? Didn't Leonardo DiCaprio meet with Greta Thunberg to help save the environment?
Sure.
Yeah, I believe there was something like that.
Okay, let's find it. I want to find this. Okay. He didn't delete it. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can share this thing. Sean is curious about this.
Mm-hmm. Sean's rubbing his beardage.
So this is Leonardo DiCaprio and Greta. They were saving the environment together. I bet you he's not going to meet with her so quickly now. Again. Like, she became the in thing. The celebrities would want to talk with her about the environment. And I have to be honest. I'm okay with Leonardo DiCaprio. If there's a movie he's in it, it's fine. Although not my favorite actor, but
Oh.
over the years, I've accepted him for whatever he is.
Hmm.
In some movies, I think he's better. He always is professional. You can tell he's a professional guy. I don't think he's
Yeah.
crap. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I always feel like there's something missing to make him really on that greater level.
Yeah. From what I've heard, Greta's the right age for him.
Didn't.
But
His voice.
right now she is. I don't know if in this picture she may have been even too young in this picture, but now she is.
And when they met, it would have been 2019. She would have been 16 years old, I think.
Okay, so that maybe even be too young for him.
Yeah.
He's just biding his time.
But what I'll say about Leonardo DiCaprio is, I feel, and this is just my opinion. First of all, I don't hate the player or the game, and I don't hate him, and I don't even hate his acting. But I will say that I think that he in real life is such a kind of womanizer, dating all these young ladies, doing all this stuff, and whatever he's about. And I think that at some point, in order to counterbalance that, in order to make it the narrative isn't always that he's just banging a bunch of young ladies, somebody hatched a plan. This is my theory. Somebody like some publicist that probably gets 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, said to him, Leo, I have an idea. In addition to banging the models, you do that, but in addition to that and smoking cigars on yachts with your friends and hanging out with swimsuit models, in addition to that, you love the environment and you want to save it all the time. And then he said, I love it. That's the best thing ever. I love the environment. So then, he does his thing. He's on the yacht with the swimsuit models. He does whatever he needs to. And from time to time, he just comes out. He's like, let me take pictures with Greta Thunberg. I love the environment. Then they take some pictures, goes back to his yacht with his cigar and the swimsuit models. Everybody's happy.
What a wacky conspiracy theory.
You don't think it's possible?
I'm kidding. Obviously, it's possible. Do you remember? I think it was last Super Bowl. They cut to him, and it suspiciously looked like he was doing cocaine with people in a booth. And then it cut to Jeff Goldblum, and Jeff Goldblum was like, "I love all of you." I was like, "Man, Jeff Goldblum is still the best." Leo, I've never been impressed with him since Family Ties or whatever. His voice has always sounded like a 12-year-old. In recent years, he's gotten better as an actor. If you told me he was doing environment stuff just for publicity, I'd be like, yeah, obviously.
It's a good angle. You know what I mean? Because
it's an easy angle.
It's an easy angle because also the environment is such an abstract thing. Anytime there's an environment thing, he suddenly shows up and he's like, man, the environment. And
man, it sounds like a comedy movie. Man, the environment.
What do you think about the environment?
I feel so strong about the environment. The
environment. You could tell even on his face in this picture that he's thinking he's laughing because he's sitting next to Greta Thunberg and he's thinking to himself, "This is the best ploy I've ever had. I'm sitting next to Greta Thunberg talking about the environment." And nobody is none the wiser for it. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to be on my yacht with the swimsuit models and fuck all these people.
Yeah, exactly.
And the biggest pile of coke you can imagine.
That's why he's smiling, because he's thinking of that big pile.
He's thinking of those just amazing lines he's going to find just a little bit later. He's excited about that.
Oh man!
Somebody wrote that Leo was pictured with Diddy. If it turned out that he was at a few of his parties, I'm not saying it's impossible. I also don't know. I also don't know if every party of his was the same. I don't know if maybe there were certain parties that he allowed himself to do things that were one way, and maybe in other parties he was more careful about what he did. I don't really know.
Who are we talking about, Diddy or Leo?
Diddy, yeah.
Well, I saw two things. I was barely on the internet today. I've been working and doing stuff, and one was Diddy had a massive amount of baby oil, and I was like, "That's weird." And then the other one was
we were discussing some of this. Bryce and I were both on Mr. Brown on Saturday or Sunday, sorry, and we were discussing some of the discoveries in his place.
And
Yes,
he's
among
like, I live next to a Costco, and I'm like, that's not an excuse.
no, that's not an excuse for you to have thousands of bottles of baby oil.
John
And
Malama
then-
says that Leonardo DiCaprio was legit great in The Departed. You know what? That was one of his better roles. I'll give you
Yes.
that I think
Yes,
that was.
I did enjoy his performance in that.
Yes,
He
I
did
thought that
well.
was one of the better roles for him. But go on.
Yeah.
Diddy was found with a suspicious amount of baby oil. What was it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
baby oil, and there was like 800 plus dildos.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
I nobody knows what he was doing with all of those, but
I
apparently it was
wonder.
very important that he really needed those.
Well, they're single
In case
use.
you need a spare.
You know.
I see.
The other thing I saw, Aaron Sparrow posted some headline that it was like Diddy is agreeing to, I don't know, like inform or bring evidence to reduce his sentence.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Sparrow was like, I predict a camera malfunction in the cell very soon.
You should
Or
see
something like that.
a post I made in response to someone earlier today on X. Someone was saying like they were talking about, replying to someone else's post saying, basically he's ready to squeal. He's ready to tell on everybody to get a reduced sentence. And his reply was, Diddy is not long for this world.
I would love for him to live long enough.
Now, right? I can see it now. Essentially saying that, and sometime in the next couple weeks, we're sad to report that Sean P. Diddy Combs was found dead in his cell.
Oh, he hanged himself or choked himself somehow.
Well, no, I went pretty absurdist with where I was going with it.
He somehow blew his head off with a cannon.
The
An
cameras
18th
were
century cannon.
The cameras were malfunctioning, and the two guards were called away because they both simultaneously won the state lottery. And then the inspectors have ruled it a suicide because clearly he was very determined. And, he was very determined to kill himself as he shot himself execution style in the back of the head twice.
Yeah. It's so sad that we laugh about this so easily. It's so ridiculous.
By the way, I want to show you this wonderful article. Leonardo DiCaprio was doing more for the environment than world leaders.
Well, that's encouraging.
That means nobody is doing anything for the environment.
Because he's doing lines of coke off of a prostitute.
That's the only that's the only contribution he's contributing to the environment. He's smoking a cigar on a yacht right now.
Yeah. Taking his private planes back and forth. And,
Yeah.
Making the world a better place.
He's making the world a better place. The thing is, I know for a fact, I know there's some people where you say, well, maybe he really is, whatever. And maybe in some cases it's true. This guy, look at his eyes. Does this guy look like he's going to save the environment?
No.
This looks like, just look at this picture. It looks like he's at an event or something. This looks like it amuses him that he even managed to pull this off.
Yeah.
He's like, thumbs up. I agree. Environment.
Yes. I go environment. I'm going to go take a nap, and then I'm going to go save a young lady from her virginity. Thank you.
Super important, the environment. Super important, guys.
I also environment.
I wonder if he went. Listen, people are saying in the chat he went to Diddy parties. If he did, and there's footage or anything, it's probably not going to be a good look for him. One has to wonder, but
he's going to have to environment so hard after that.
He's going to be, a worldwide campaign to save the environment.
I think we know, at least if he did go to a Diddy party, he did not leave with a party favor. They left
like 10,000 dildos.
What I'll say is that, and I could be wrong on
Just hands them out.
Usually he's given me the impression that he's smart, Leonardo DiCaprio. And if he is, he'll know that in some places maybe not to do certain things. I would hope for him that he didn't participate in one of those weird things at a Diddy party. If he did, it's not gonna turn out very well for him.
Am I crazy to think? Because there was a. Oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? Epstein. Is
Yep.
it weird to give the benefit of the doubt to maybe like some celebrity or higher up just went to the island because it was a nice island and didn't partake in like debauchery? Like, is that weird of me to?
What are you saying? That you think that people went to Jeffrey's Island and that they didn't participate in the festivities? Professor?
I'm here.
I think that
I
Sean is
think
stuck.
Sean is locked up on us.
Sean is frozen.
He's vapor locked. He'll be back, I'm sure.
He'll be back. I feel like it was like an episode of Bewitched when Endora freezes Darren in the middle of a sentence. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's like, Samantha, I can't understand why I can't come to my own home. And then it's like, boom, and then like he just stops. And he's like, Mother, and you let him go.
Oh,
Probably
boy.
nobody understood that reference, or
Yeah.
nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I watched that show growing up. We had
They used to show reruns of it. Now, okay, let
yeah.
me be honest. It's not that I was around when it originally showed, but I don't know if people know that for many decades later, they would show reruns of that show. And if you were sick from school, you'd sit
Oh, yeah.
around and watch. They would show reruns of that and of I Dream of Jeannie. And I really liked those shows.
See, we used to watch them on it was Nick at Night would do reruns of all those old shows. That's where I saw all of those shows from that age. Was on Nick at Night. My mom would turn that on all the time. So I saw Bewitched, and I saw what's the one with the horse? I can't. My just complete brain fart.
Mr. Ed.
Yes, Mr. Ed. Yes, it's on Mr.
A horse
Ed.
is a horse, of course,
Horse,
of course,
horse.
blah, 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 something like that.
Endorse.
The
Yes.
famous Mr. Ed.
Poor horse ate so much peanut butter. That poor thing. Get him to move his mouth around. But no,
It was
yeah,
a very ambitious show considering the little resources they had.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw a whole bunch of those shows from that generation of television. Yeah, some it was Phantom Mux and Mr. Ed Jams. Yeah, Nick at Night. The Martian. Oh, My Favorite Martian. Yes, that was a great show.
Yeah, that one was a good one. And this was what I was talking about. That's Darren being frozen, and or that's the guy I was talking about.
Yeah.
Samantha in the middle and her mother. Classic TV right here.
Yeah, My Favorite Martian. That was Bill Bixby's big entry into television, and also Ray Walston, who was a great actor. He did a great job in that show.
I haven't watched My Favorite Martian in a while. I remember the guy that played the uncle, the Martian guy.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Yeah.
What did Bill Bixby play?
That was Ray Walston.
Right.
And
what
then,
did Bill Bixby play?
He was Tim. He was kind of the other guy in the show. And trying to remember what he was a newspaper reporter who was let's see. So yeah, returning home from Los Angeles, O'Hara spots the silver spaceship coming down, after which it crashes. Tim takes in the Martian and nicknames him Uncle Martin. So yeah, he was the other guy in the show, basically.
Was he? Wow, I didn't remember it was Bill Bixby.
Yeah, it was a real young Bill Bixby. It's been quite some time since I've seen that too. Yeah.
It's so funny that I didn't realize it was Bill Bixby. Maybe I did at the time, but yeah, that's kind of an old school type of show. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Sorry, I don't we have weather.
It's fine. No,
Weather.
we were amused. We were amused by it.
What did I say? What was the last thing you heard?
It's not that what you said, it's that you froze. So like you were
Oh.
like, it's like in a movie when somebody freezes somebody, that's what
Yeah.
it looked like. So it was just, we were laughing that it was kind of like when on Bewitched, when Andorra used to freeze Darren, that's what you looked like.
I was just like, hey, is it weird that I sometimes wonder if we should give the benefit of a doubt to a celebrity that went to Epstein's residence and they didn't partake in the debauchery? Like, is that a possibility? And then I was like,
You know,
what was
any-
the last thing that I said? How incriminating do I sound? Do I sound
Right,
like
I
a
mean-
psycho?
it's possible. It's possible. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that every person that went did the bad things.
It's like you're the one guy that's like, oh, I just want to go because I like the beach. And then it's like, what was going on? You're like,
I mean,
even that's like a comedy movie. You're like the one innocent guy that's just there. It's like, they did what now?
I'm trying to think about it, but maybe if you're like this kind of rich, snooty, person, and this guy, amongst these kind of elite whatever, he has his own island, he's rich, he's this, he's that, we're gonna go hang out on his island. Maybe there's a way to pitch it to some people and they don't really know. I
Yeah.
assume that some people may not have known, and some people did know and didn't know what was going on, and some people also didn't know and probably participated. I just can't tell you which ones did and which ones didn't. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like anybody could tell you because somebody took a big broom and swept this whole thing under the carpet.
It sounds like an Adam Sandler movie plot a little bit, where it's like some guy wins a lottery. It's like the biggest lottery winnings ever. And then he just happens to get invited to this debaucherous place. And he's like totally clueless, like fish out of water. I could totally see that working as like a comedy movie.
There's a strange, dark comedy to be
Yeah.
made there for sure.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on with your My Favorite Martian stuff.
No, I don't even know how we got to the My Favorite Martian. I was just
Oh, we were
surprised
just talking about shows from the old shows that we watched and stuff we saw on Nick at Night.
Oh yeah, Dobie Gillis, man. I watched
Dobie
that
Gillis,
a lot
that's
for a
another
while, and I
great
have
one.
no
That's
memory of
another
it.
great one.
for sure. So, where did you used to watch shows like this, Sean?
Just Nick at Night. For a while, for some reason, in like the early '90s, I would watch it when I could, and Dobie Gillis was the one that stood out the most. But I can't even remember an episode that I watched. I just remember
Yeah.
the blonde-haired kid talking to the camera,
Yeah.
and then Maynard T. Cribb.
Maynard T. Krebs. Yes.
He was the like beatnik, and he was
Yes.
Gilligan.
Yep.
Yeah.
What were we going to talk about? Oh, Agatha All Along.
Oh boy. Yeah, let's get into that.
Did anybody watch this third episode?
Sadly, yes, I did. Waste 47
Third?
minutes of my life watching.
I thought it's only been on for like a week.
Well, they did it. It was a 2-episode premiere
Oh.
last week, and then so the third episode was yesterday.
You know what I love? You can't help but love IGN. Agatha All Along episode 3 review.
Let me guess.
The
They
show
gave it a
feels like-
7.
The show feels like it's all come
I
together
get
in the
that
scariest episode yet. Come together. That's
Scariest.
Scary.
This
This
is
This is a bunch of judgmental women.
Oh my god! This episode was literally just wine moms sitting around.
do they
Ooh,
give a grade?
You can vote. It looked like they had a poll at the top. Oh, 7. Oh, 8.
Well, they gave the
An
premiere
8. They gave it
was
an 8.
Oh wow!
They called it great. Agatha All Along is
Wow.
on solid footing in episode 3 and reaching new heights of fright.
There was absolutely nothing frightening in this episode. It was a complete embarrassment and a total waste of time. It was a bunch of wine moms sitting around drinking and then making witch potions out of ingredients from the pantry.
Did they do any new songs or like chants that would be funny memes?
Thankfully, they didn't know.
No,
I mean, they didn't
but
do more songs.
they named off all of these disgusting ingredients that you would put in a potion at one point. You know, guts from an insect, and you know, eye of newt, and all these different things, and then it ends up that like they need some patrol, they need something, and they end up grabbing some face cream for one of the ingredients, and then they grab eye of newt is apparently just mustard seed. So they grab mustard seed from the pantry, throw that in the potion, and then for the bug guts, it's just honey. And then like mix all this stuff together in a sink
This
and
just
say
makes
some magic words around it, and then it turns a blue-green color.
that
And
just
then they
makes
all
me
drink it.
that makes me think of Weekend at Bernie's too, when they need to do a voodoo ritual and they need a live chicken, but they don't have a live chicken, so they get fried chicken, and then Bernie can only move whenever there's music playing. It just sounds like a setup for a dumb joke.
Yeah. Oh, it's a dumb joke, all right. Joke's on the audience, that's for sure.
Basically, what happens is this is a bottleneck episode in a show that already feels like a bottleneck show to begin with, and every minute of it feels like a bottleneck episode of sorts.
They
But-
spend almost the entire episode just locked in this house.
Ooh.
That's it.
Yeah, and then they drink wine, but the wine is sort of poisonous, and it's causing them to have delusions. And this also, some people, I was on a stream where somebody said, well, it's interesting that they use this moment to, you know, show a little bit of the background of each character. But I said the opposite. I said, I don't need little snippets of what this character is, especially when there's so many of them. I think it would have been better that you actually build a few characters that anybody cares about, and then have them go on some kind of journey that maybe you care about them. But the way this is, it's so random and cheap and stupid. I don't know what they spend their money on. I think this is another show, maybe it costs $100 million to produce, and I don't know where the money is going. I really don't. This just felt like they were in the same house for the entire episode, doing nothing.
Can I ask what you mean by a bottleneck episode?
So sometimes when, let's say, you have a show, and this often happens because of budgetary constraints. So in the episode, they're all stuck. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Somebody goes into a bank and there's a stick up, and then like the whole episode they're sitting in the bank and trying to figure out what to do because like there's a few thieves there, and the whole thing is taking place within a bank, like the bank and next to the teller, and you're like in the same thing for half an hour. That's a bottleneck episode.
I feel like I've seen that episode.
I've heard that called just a bottle episode, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
and some people,
where you're they have to just use existing sets, and everyone's kind of stuck in sort of one place. You don't do any shooting outside of the existing sets. You don't go out and or anything. You don't usually even bring in very many guest stars. It just all kind of happens inside the production and the existing sets, really cheap, really quick, and yeah, you save a lot of money from that. Yeah.
I mean, some people felt that The Last Jedi was kind of like a bottleneck episode. They're stuck in space the whole time.
Oh,
maybe it wasn't accurate to say that because there was more stuff going on, but at least the angle of them sitting on the spaceship and running out of gas, people were laughing and saying it's like a bottleneck episode.
That really did make me laugh when it suddenly occurred to me this is going to be a slow car chase in space.
Totally.
Wow. Yep. Chasing the white Bronco through space.
Absolutely.
And then you find out that they can get in a tiny little ship and fly away anytime they want. Why don't they just do that and save everybody?
And also the lady with the plan refuses to tell like one of the top people there what her plan is, and she gets upset because he doesn't know the plan.
Not to get off on a tangent from Agatha, but just whenever the ship started running out of gas and dropping out,
yes,
I was like, what is happening?
How it works.
It's like, that's not space. This is nonsense.
Works.
Even in a made-up galaxy, this is not how this works.
Yeah. Oh,
Go
And
on,
back to
Agatha.
Agatha all along. So they're stuck in this house the whole time, and they have this poisonous wine. Really, there's nothing that goes on. I mean, how could I even sum up this episode? The ladies are stuck in a house and they're trying to avoid a spell that would put them to death. I mean,
they walk into a beach house. It changes all of their clothes so they all look like wine moms. They sit around, they crack open a bottle of wine. They talk about themselves for a little bit, as wine moms are, want to do. And then they start to realize that the wine is making them sick, that it's affecting them in some way, mostly because it starts to make them look like older women who've had way too much plastic surgery. It's kind of hard to tell because they kind of already look that way. But anyway, they start to look like these women who've had a lot of plastic surgery, and then that goes away, and then they figure out, well, it's poison, so we have to figure out what the poison is, and so they go back and forth talking, and the woman on the far right there, who's supposed to be the potions witch, is the one who's supposed to figure out what this poison is and what the antidote is. And so she has to come up with the antidote and off the top of her head. And it ends up just being ingredients you can get out of the makeup cabinet in the pantry. And they mix it up and say some spooky witch words, and you get the magic glowing blue potion, and you drink it.
What a rip-roaring blast.
Yes, and then so along the way, there's a little bit of stuff. There's a little bit of character work that was done. Not that we care about any of these characters, but there's a little bit of character work done where you see some of them because they're hallucinating because of the poison, and so some of them are seeing things from their past, and there's something dropped by again the woman on the right there. The potions witch, she tells the kid, who is clearly supposed to be Wiccan. We all know it. Stop trying to hide it. We know who he is. He's Wiccan. We got it. He is basically being told by her that he needs to be careful around Agatha because she is so ruthless. She even gave up her own newborn son to become a more powerful witch, to get a hold of some dark magic or something.
I'll be honest, none of this sounds like it's going to stop Mephisto from wrecking up the joint.
No. So now you have the question, who was the boy? Who did she give it up to? Well, if we follow the comics, there's a lot of possibilities, but we know that they're not really following the comics. So it just depends on who they decide to bring in and how they decide to tell the story. Probably, I'm guessing that ends up being her son, and she gave him up to Mephisto, and now he's an agent of Mephisto, and so yeah.
Oh, I was kidding about Mephisto. Like, are they?
No, I'm
leaning
not
towards him.
No, I don't know that they'll do anything with Mephisto. He'll be the carrot that they dangle, that there's going to be a big bad with Mephisto, and then you're never going to see him. But but Wiccan there is going to be an agent of Mephisto, and he's
ever since somebody mentioned Mephisto, and whatever movie, probably the Wanda movie, came out, and the director was like, I don't know who that is. I don't read comics. I'm sure that Disney's like, oh, we got to do something with Mephisto.
Well, I just said it as a joke. Called out. He was specifically talked about in this episode. So
I just did it as a joke because nothing you're describing sounds like a Marvel comic to me. So I was thinking, like, well, how does this affect Galactus eating the world? And I just tried to tie it back into like a more plausible story thing.
By the way, Phantom Monk says the Save Gay Boy makes me laugh. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but it isn't until now it makes me, especially since I already saw 3 episodes. This guy, the reason we know he's gay is that during the first episode, in the middle of just a conversation, in something that feels like
apropos of nothing.
Right. Apropos of nothing, he just suddenly looks at the camera. It's almost like he's breaking the fourth wall and talking to me. He's like, oh, my boyfriend calls me on the phone all the time. I don't know what to do.
He worries about me.
He worries about me, and my boyfriend just keeps calling. And it's like, and And then nothing. He never mentions it again, and it never comes up again. You just needed to know, in case you were wondering, you needed to know that this guy is gay.
There's a. Did you guys ever watch the Clerks animated cartoon? It was like 6 episodes.
Yeah, I did.
There's one episode where Force Ghost Obi-Wan and Yoda show up, and then Force Ghost Charles Barkley shows up, and he's like, "Hey," and they're like, "What the hell are you doing here?" Uh, Anytime there's a Force Ghost joke, it makes me laugh. Uh, they're like, "Get the hell out of here." There's also like the Family Guy, where they're like, I forget how it's set up, but they do Force Ghost, and I'm Hayden Christensen. And I blend those two together. Anytime there is a diversity hire or a token character of any sort, all I hear in my head is, I'm Hayden Christensen. And then I picture Clerks where it's like, get the hell out of here.
Well, at least in this one, so it's basically we know that this character is supposed to be the Marvel character Wiccan, because in some of the not in English language, I guess, but in some other languages, if you have the subtitles on, there's places where he basically has some sort of, I think, what did they call it, a sigil, some sort of spell placed over him to where if he tries to say his name or talk about his background or whatever like that, it's like muffled, it's covered up, so you can't hear it. But in some other languages, when he says his name, if you have the subtitles on, it shows his name, that he's saying his name is Billy. And a lot of people had already guessed this was Wiccan, and of course, Wiccan's name is Billy Kaplan, who is in the main continuity is this one of the children of the Scarlet Witch and Vision.
I don't know a lot about Marvel Comics, but I have never seen this character before in my life.
He's a character that he's it has a very weird, convoluted backstory, but essentially he was like adopted and then traveled through time or something, and then came back, and so then you find out that it is her son.
He's
and
not like
he joins up with the Young Avengers, which is where they're going with this.
He's not like a new character, is he? In like the last 10 years, is he?
I'm not sure when he was introduced. I was only reading about it. I think maybe he might have been. It was maybe the early 2000s. Was when his character was
make
introduced.
Sense. But, sorry, I don't mean to derail.
No, it's fine. No. So anyway, they do their little spell and they turn the water blue, and then they all drink the Drano and they're better. And then they go and they realize they haven't given the antidote to the one lady who drank it first, who's passed out on the table behind them. They go to give her the antidote before the timer runs out or whatever. By the way, they're all quite literally racing against an egg timer.
I do like the idea of the mom from that 70s show drinking the entire episode.
Oh, she's the first one. She finds the bottle of wine and she's hitting it hard.
That's amusing.
But so anyway, she at the end of the episode, she's the one who was passed out. They try to give her the antidote last second, and then when they do, the oven pops open, and they have to escape flooding waters that are pouring into the house through the oven. And of course, there's a funny joke. One of them, oh, I had a friend who climbed into an oven once, and it didn't go so well for her. I laughed at. I thought that was funny, but
it's all right.
But then they have to climb in the oven to escape, and they drag her along. And then the wrap up for the episode is that supposedly, anyway, at the end of the episode, they say she has died. The mom from that 70s show it actually has passed away from the poison. So whether that stays true in the next episode, I don't know, but.
No one's ever really gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
it's a
knows?
terrible show. I don't really care about any of these characters or anything that's going on. I think the only one that was mildly amusing was that the one from that 70s show, and she's basically dead.
Yeah.
So if they had anything that was a bit reasonable, they don't have that anymore. And
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza, I was telling somebody else this today that I almost think that she was added to this show in reshoots or something. That somebody said, hey, men need to see one woman on screen that doesn't look like a little boy. And then they're like, well, Aubrey Plaza is kind of cool. So they're like, okay, let's hire her, but we already filmed the show. Oh, it's okay. Let's just shove her into one scene here and one scene there. Because otherwise, unless there's a real purpose for her, I don't even know what she's doing here.
But you're gonna choose Aubrey Plaza to represent the non-little boy looking female? She's very amusing personality-wise, but she doesn't have like Raquel Welch curves.
Oh no, I mean she's
No, but she's pleasant. She's not a bad looking lady. I mean,
she's fine but still, like if you want like Bombshell, I wouldn't.
no, she's
cast
not.
her.
She's not a bombshell.
no, I
but
didn't say
she-
bombshell, but there's something. I
Yeah.
would say that there's something sexy about her. She's not repelling.
No,
Her
yeah.
her personality and sense of comedy crack me up, so
Oh
I
yeah.
get that.
Oh. Yeah, for her in Parks and Rec, amazing.
Just an interview, I think, with Conan O'Brien, where she's like, I bought my boyfriend helicopter lessons in case there's an emergency. and he's like, why don't you take the helicopter lessons? And she's like, I'm in charge of weapons and ammo. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's quite the character. I feel a little bit bad for her. I feel like she's kind of been overlooked for a lot of different roles in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
it makes me kind of sad because I honestly think she's quite talented. So, yeah, and she's easy on the eyes too. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you say she's not Raquel Welch, she doesn't need to be. I think that there's something appealing about her. People just generally, don't dislike her. I think there was something to do with her on this show, and they, until now, have not done anything with her.
I'm not saying she's terrible. I'm just saying if you want to go against, like, oh, we've got too many little boy-looking women, it's like, well, then hire, like...
Well, are you going to take her or are you going to take Phoebe Waller-Bridge? Which is it? Come on.
It's not even in the same realm.
I mean, you may like her or not like her, and that's fine. I'm just saying, she doesn't come off to me like a little boy. I'll give her that.
I'm just talking about, like, visual... I'm a Hollywood producer... I need a specific look for a specific thing.
Listen, if I was the one doing the casting and I'm the Hollywood director, I'm looking at where all the like hottest models are, and I bring them on screen.
Exactly.
And, like, that's going to be my show. But this is some feminist activist doing stuff for Disney. There's only, there's only so much you can expect here.
You only got so many colors in the palette.
You got to be realistic, Sean. That's the truth.
I got a pencil and I got a marker. What art are we going to create today? I got you. I'm with you.
Well, Professor, what else happens here? They do their stupid thing.
Yeah, they do their little... They make their little glowing sink full of Drano, and then they drink it, and they all get better. And then they escape to go on to the next trial, but apparently they've lost the one woman who was apparently not actually a witch. They never showed that she, just kind of grabbed her off the street and brought her in. So they had one more person, and they've killed her off now, I guess. So I we'll see. Who knows? This is a Marvel show. Next episode,
nobody ever really dies.
Just fine.
So that was that, and then there was something else that was interesting today.
A few interesting things happening today that I read about. Or thinking about some of the Ubisoft stuff.
Before we get to it, this is this. You gotta love this Forbes shill, Paul Tassi. He's the guy that blocked me, as you may remember.
I thought they all blocked you at this point.
That is true. They all block me. So, the Acolyte versus the Penguin viewership comparisons don't really add up.
What does that even mean?
That he's an
And
idiot.
in which way are they even comparable to each other?
Exactly.
They're on two completely different streaming platforms.
They're
One of
different
them
genres.
One of them, they're completely different genres. One of them was clearly, as most Star Wars entertainment was clearly aimed at younger viewers, probably preteen, teen viewers, and then the other is clearly an adult show. It's labeled mature. It's has these two shows are just completely different in every way. Also completely different in the fact that one of them cost a ridiculous amount of money and was a pile of garbage, and one of them had a reasonable budget and is, even after the first episode, already one of the best written TV shows I've seen in the last like 3 or 4 years.
I take it back.
So,
You've totally proven that this is the most accurate title ever created. Yes, correct, sir. None of it makes sense because they are completely unrelated. Why are we here?
but yes, apparently the Penguin does not have the amazing views that some people were hoping for. I'm guessing it's going to come. I think it's going to get some real positive, word of mouth after the first couple 3 episodes are out of the way. It's part of it is that it's not building really quickly because they just did that first episode, and then we didn't get an episode this week. We're not going to get another episode until next.
You're saying it's not doing well? I think people are talking very
it is.
positively about the
Yeah.
Penguin.
No, I think that I'm saying that the first episode may not have done that well, but I think it is getting a lot of positive.
But do we know the numbers for the first one,
yeah.
or you're just speculating?
I think that's what they were talking about. It's part of what they were talking about in that article was some of the numbers for the viewership has not been that high. And they're saying, well, if the viewership for this isn't that high, why is it getting such great praise? And the viewership was similar for The Acolyte, and it didn't get praise. Well, that's because one's good and one sucks.
Mm-hmm. I am not tied into anything official or even plausible, but I feel like it's building momentum just from little things I see here and there, people chatting about it or saying, oh, I really liked it. I think it's going to do well, actually.
Well, I mean, Variety are saying that it's an ice cold hit based on the numbers for the Penguins. So,
is that a joke? Is it a penguin joke?
That was a Penguin joke, yeah. But the truth is that I think that the Penguin is doing fine. First of all, I don't know the budget, but I have a feeling that it probably costs less than The Acolyte. And the other thing is that Disney Plus have a larger audience, a worldwide audience, and more reach. Mm-hmm. So I think that probably when you take all that in consideration, that's why this one is considered a hit, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess HBO is claiming 5.3 million views in the first 4 days. I'd say that's pretty good.
Is there any legal reason that we shouldn't hold these people accountable for them making statements like that? I always wonder about that because, like, streaming service don't have to like account or justify themselves to anyone. They could say we did 100 bajillion views, and who's going to question it and hold them accountable for it? It's like, I feel like there should be some kind of oversight committee to say, no, you need to tell us how this did, so your investors are not being screwed.
So yeah, Disney claimed there was a little over 11 million views for the first episodes of The Acolyte. So, clearly viewership is the only thing that matters. Quality doesn't. And it doesn't actually matter where viewership went later in the series, which absolutely tanked for The Acolyte, with them showing up barely a third of the audience, I think, from the premiere was around for the finale. So if HBO, and hey, they got 5.3 million views, if that keeps going up over the next few weeks, then they've got a hit, and you can't argue with that.
I agree.
Yeah,
we'll have to see where those numbers go.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to the quality of the show and the quality of the writing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the performances are there. It's kind of a dull, kind of gray show, but then it's that's what it's That's what it is. It's not meant to be bright and colorful. It's kind of a dingy, dirty world, underground kind of a thing. And so the limited palette, although boring, makes sense for the show.
But
But the performances so far have been out of this world. Fantastic
Yeah,
for a
that's
TV
probably the
show of this
best part.
caliber.
Yeah.
but you've also got like there is something to be said for like an audience that is just hardcore into crime boss type of stories.
Mhm.
And even the limited people that I know that are into that type of thing, they're like, this is fantastic.
True.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to give it a chance. I told you I thought that the first episode was interesting, but I need to see where it goes.
Yeah. They've got plenty of opportunity. I think I said that before. They got plenty of opportunity to ruin it, right? There's a bunch of ways they could take some of the plot that they've set up and not pay it off properly, and performances could go downhill. There's plenty of chances going forward to end up making this a real mess. But they've also got a real opportunity here. I think they set up a whole bunch of really good stuff at the beginning. If we get to continue to see him struggling with his, the penguin with Oz struggling with his ability to control his, sort of impulsive nature, and we get to continue to see the conflicts between him and the families, and the different, sort of political moves and everything that he's set up there between the different families. We get to see all that play out. It could be really good. Could be really good. So we'll see.
Definitely. So
Empress in him says, "I hear it's no Boba Fett."
That's what I was just laughing at.
No, it's not Boba Fett. That's for sure.
Boba
we
Fett
could
sure
only
gets a
hope.
lot of hate.
Man.
If we see a bunch of dudes and chicks riding around on Vespas, tricked out Vespas later on in the show, we're gonna call it out.
What a twist. You never saw it coming.
And hold on one second. There's one other thing. Then we'll get to Ubisoft.
Driving around on Vespas festooned with like umbrellas and penguin decals and stuff. That'll be great.
And all the bikes go wah, 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 wah. You start them up and they're like wah, wah, wah. Oh, I would love that.
I just want to see somewhere. I want to see somebody with a shirt on, just a black turtleneck that says Henchman 1.
Yes.
And then there's another guy with Henchman 2.
That'd be so good. Oh man. Ubisoft is still alive? I thought they died like a month ago.
They are in a world of hurt.
Every day that people say this.
It just keeps getting worse. They've got all kinds of different stuff that's going on there. It sounds like well, of course, we found out we were chatting earlier this week, and the news was kind of landing at the time that they had backed out of the Tokyo Game Show. And of course, that was no surprise at all. I'm not surprised in any way. That's going into hostile territory there, and I think they realized that was going to be a bad thing for them. Yeah, there's all sorts of other stuff going on. What else do you got for us here, Price?
No, we'll get back to that in a second. I just before we do wanted to ask you if you saw that cringy thing on Rings of Power when
Oh dear Lord.
When Elrond and Galadriel kiss. It's for a subversion of something, but
Yeah.
man, is it all this is cringe.
Oh, it's gross.
It's
gross. I'm correct. She's supposed in lore.
I think she's his mother-in-law.
His mother-in-law. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I saw this in like passing, and I was
I saw a bit of this. I saw a bit of this, and I went to go look at it. And so I guess what was happening at the time was he was passing off like the key to her cuffs or something, or key to her cell that he had managed to steal. And so they were kind of putting on a show to distract the orcs or whatever around them or something. But at the same time, like, you just watch it. That does not look like I'm sneaking in for a goodbye kiss and I'm actually sneaking you a key. Like, they're snogging, man.
I like to think that the orcs even are like, what the heck, man?
Probably. So yeah, and this is so like on brand for Screen Rant. You see them both with these purple lips and whatever. So such idiots watching this show. Sorry.
It's true.
The whole
They
show is
are
cringe.
oh,
It's
it's
just such a
dreadful.
bad show, and I suffer watching it. I can barely make it through the end of an episode. They're like an hour, and you feel that hour.
Can I ask you just a quick personal question? Like,
Sure.
you watch so much trash. Is there any chance that you get where you actually get to watch stuff that you like?
Yes, yesterday I saw a movie that I liked. You know
Okay.
what? I'm gonna
I,
show you what that was.
I just fear for your sanity sometimes because I'm like, I can't believe he watches all of this
Yeah,
too.
we were talking about Tulsa King earlier.
Wow.
That's really
Oh
really good,
yeah, yeah,
really good show. So
yeah. I don't know. Sylvester Stallone is he just seems like an amazing guy all around.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah. Well,
everything I
and
see of him.
the role is just tailor made for him too. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So this is what I saw yesterday.
Dude, you
I
saw it?
Yeah, it was a
Did you
special
bawl
screening.
like a baby?
You know, I stopped myself from bawling like a baby, but man, this movie is not. You know, it makes you sad. The movie. It's a
Man,
sad movie.
we went to Beetlejuice and this trailer came on. My wife and I were sobbing just from the trailer.
If
We're
you were
like,
sobbing
what
from the
the
trailer,
heck, man?
if you were sobbing from the trailer and you go see this movie, you will need a
I
box
am
of Kleenex.
I am watching it at home in the privacy of another room so no
It
one can
definitely
see
was
me
very
because
sad. I actually
God.
like, you know, I didn't sob, but I will say that there was one scene that like brought me very close to it. I just kind of kept my cool because I'm in a public place, but I'll say that there's one scene
I wish
where
I had that kind of control.
he's like he's already paralyzed in the chair, and in order
Yeah.
to get into some event, sometimes they used to bring him, you know, if he needed to speak somewhere, they used to bring him quietly through like some back entrance or where a kitchen is.
Hmm.
And I guess this was either an award ceremony or it was some other speech that he was giving, and they brought him into this kind of, in order to take him out of the building, through the kitchen and back.
Yeah.
There's like a kitchen with maybe as a catering team. I don't really know. In any case, they reel him in, and like all the workers there that are working in this kitchen, and they're from all different backgrounds. You know, it's not just like a few dude bro white people. I'm saying like from different places, backgrounds, locations, and those people that are working in that kitchen, and they
Yeah.
all stop. And these aren't like, you know, elitist or anything. I'm telling you, just these look like regular people, and they all kind of gather around him, and they tell him like, we love you, like you're our Superman, like we love you. And man, that part, I don't know why that part.
I'm gonna tear up right now.
Right, I mean that part, when I watch it, I don't know why that one got to me, and that was when I really like had to fight not to, you know, become too emotional,
Yeah.
because I you know, I can understand also them, like he's so inspiring as Superman, and they were so happy he was there, and they see him in this wheelchair, and they want him to get better, and it just it wasn't a manufactured moment. It felt so genuine, and
Yeah.
I don't know, really, it's a special scene, and it left an impression on me. But aside from that, the movie is very informative. You can look at the bright sides of things that he's done, and you know, it's a nice way to remember him fondly. There's also a lot of tragedy. They show in depth how how he dealt with the accident and things
Mhm.
that happened with his family. And man, this movie is not. If you want like a pick me up feel good movie, I don't know if that one is exactly the one. But I enjoyed
Just
it.
his
I'm happy I
attitude.
saw it.
His attitude throughout the trailer, I was just like, God bless, man. And then, like, even if you've seen interviews with him talking about just playing Superman, it's like, how did they land this guy? This does not sound like. Maybe I'm full of it, but just hearing him talking about the responsibility of playing Superman and what it means to the world, and then later him going through all that, and then watching this trailer in the theater, I was dying. I was crying so hard, man.
You're gonna fall apart watching this movie, but it
No
is a
doubt.
high quality movie. It's a high quality documentary. I certainly think that this was well made. It's just probably not a movie I'm going to watch 70 times. I saw it once, and I think that I don't. I probably won't put
Yeah.
myself in that situation again. Very sad.
Yeah.
But it is something that if you like Christopher Reeve, if you like Superman, it's a movie that kind of, I had to see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamalama says moistness is quite sexy. Yeah,
It is not.
I don't
I
think
am a
so.
sap at movies, man. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
If you have like an amazing orchestral score, and then you have a character that is committing like the ultimate selfless act for others, I am weeping. I am a blubbering idiot. Like that scene in the last Lord of the Rings where it's even like moments of quiet, and then Aragorn turns and he says for Frodo, and then runs towards death. I'm like, just dying, man. I'm such a sap for movies.
No, honestly, I think that kind of moment is something that really speaks to men and the nature that we have as protectors.
Yeah.
That taking that selfless act to throw yourself in front of whatever it is and say, I'm giving it my all, even if it means my life. Like that kind of moment is incredibly moving, and I'm there with you, man. I know
I'm not tearing up. You're crying. Shut up.
You're crying. Shut up. Shut up.
Just
No,
dust in my eyes.
oh yeah, no. This is definitely one I'm gonna have to see at home because I'm probably gonna weep like a baby when I see it. Like
I wouldn't blame you guys if you wept, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I was really, really strong. Like I sat there and I was able to watch it, and
Well,
it
I
was very,
admire
very
you.
sad, but I was able to kind of keep it together.
Yeah, every time you saw the tear bait coming up, you just said it's a trap.
Bite your
and
tongue as
moved
hard
on.
as you can.
Something like that. Yeah, pinch
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm ripping
Professor,
out leg hairs.
I guess, Professor, you wanted to talk about some Ubisoft stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we kind of brought it up. It's in I think it's in the title too. Yeah, man, Ubisoft, it just the they just keep piling on the losses. They just keep taking the L's just left and right. So yeah, Tuesday we were talking about how they had pulled out of Tokyo Game Show, and there were some rumors that perhaps this also meant that they might be pushing back the release date for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So pulling out of the Tokyo Game Show, a no-brainer. They should have done that a long time ago. They are not popular in Japan for this game right now. And then on top of them pulling out from the Tokyo Game Show, they had also contacted some groups to let them know that they were going to, they were also pulling review copies. They were going to be sending review copies out that they had, I guess, promoted to some reviewers earlier on. And so then we found out the next day directly from Ubisoft. And if I can, let's see, do I have their tweet?
Yes.
Let's see if I can pull that up. They actually put out a statement essentially saying like this is what was happening, why they were pulling back on the release of the game and whatnot. I can't seem to find it.
I remember reading it, and it sounded like a bunch of excuses.
Oh yeah, but essentially they're like, well, we want to make sure that we're releasing a quality game
I
experience.
mean, people they always say that crap. Yeah, we don't
we're
want to just
taking-
rush. We want to take our time to make it quality.
We're gonna take some extra time to improve on it, to work on it, whatever. And then let's see, maybe it's here. Yeah, so saying that Assassin's Creed is a dream project for us, right? And in here, in fact, I'll even share it with you real quick since I've got it up. So as the Assassin's Creed is this dream project, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan. You could have done that at any time over the last like 2 decades that you've been making Assassin's Creed games, but They want to create a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of these two unique protagonists. Okay, well, what about the game that you already have made? Didn't do that. I especially love above where it says, we want to, make sure we're including many features such as parkour and stealth. This is an Assassin's Creed game. That's literally all you do. It's Assassin's Creed. It's parkour and stuff. If you didn't already have that in your game, what the hell? Come on. But anyway, they pushed it back to February 14th of 2025. And so they understand this is going to be disappointing news for many fans. But they are looking forward to the moment that they can embark on this memorable adventure with Naue and Yasuke. So yeah, yeah, BS. Your game was not done, and you are also hoping that you are going to be able to push this back far enough that people will forget some of the ridiculous things that have happened on X and some of these other things. You're trying to get out from under the controversy. But at the same time, they're facing all sorts of pressures inside of their company. First of all, their current big title that they were hoping was going to be a big hit was Star Wars Outlaws, and it has been a massive flop. They have not released any numbers on this yet, but some people think that probably this game has only sold maybe 100,000 copies, which is dreadful. Yeah, my guess is it's probably more than that, but that's appalling. They're pushing it back to February 14th. So that means they're not going to be getting any money from this for this next quarter, right? And they're already hurting for cash. Their stock has been in a absolute free fall for the past several years. Right now, that stock is worth around $11.20, I think, is maybe where it finished today. If you look back at 2021, that stock was worth $103.
Jeez.
They have lost 90% of their stock price since then. So their company is in just desperation mode now. They have to try and make sure this game is a hit. Not only are they struggling with that, pushing this game back. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention February, Black History Month in the US. So they can push that angle with their Black Samurai when they bring that out on Valentine's Day.
You say that? You said February 14th, and all I could picture was Peter Venkman talking about the end of the world on Valentine's Day. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. So they are absolutely struggling with this. They've had statements that have been coming out from people in Ubisoft, like their one of their heads of the studio. I don't even know how to say his name. It's French. Marc Alexis Gauthier. I don't know. But essentially, he saw some posts on X and Elon Musk quoted on them, basically saying DEI kills art, and he was like crushed by this.
That's
and so
true.
he thought of all of these responses that he was going to give, but then he decided to open the mindfulness app on his phone and refocus himself and not reply to this hatred online.
That sounds like the most bitch millennial response ever.
Doesn't it though?
Jesus Christ. And I'm technically a millennial.
Oh,
even though
it
I
does.
don't buy it.
It sounds
Jesus.
like just the most soy
God.
response.
It's like,
You could
please
possibly-
conquer me. I cannot function as a human being.
So on top of all of this, they're facing, it sounds like, some internal investigations from shareholders within the company. questioning why these titles are collapsing and why they were including all of these, different DEI things in their content. And so, they're also potentially facing a strike. Where did I see that story?
They're actually questioning them why they included stuff.
Yeah. Like, why
That's
is this part of your game? Why did you think this was a necessary inclusion
that's
in
funny.
your
I've
in your
never heard
title?
that in like the last
Um,
15 years.
but they
And their stock is crashing.
yeah, their stock is in absolute desperation now. I mean, you're talking about investors, probably many of who bought in, in the era, a decade ago or less, when the stock was worth $50-$60, and now it's worth $10,
But how
right?
how often do we talk about like well not we. I'm not a YouTuber, but all
Yeah.
the YouTubers I listen to, how often do they say why aren't the investors holding the companies accountable and like trying to get justification for what they're doing? And so the fact that you're saying they're questioning them, why did you include this? I'm like, oh,
Well,
that's
this is
unique.
yet thankful. I mean, this is one of those. This is a video game company that they don't have a big corporation behind them. So
Mm,
if you're talking about some of the titles that come out for, say, Xbox, right?
mhm,
If it comes from one of Microsoft's studios, well, they've got a massive company worth billions that they can just soak up that money. It doesn't really hurt their
mm,
stock price that much. Um, with Ubisoft, it all just it just piles onto their company. They're not part of some bigger conglomerate. And so I think some of these stockholders are actually a little bit closer to the board, a little bit closer to the making of the game than in a lot of places. I mean, you have other places like Disney where they've had this nonstop, just I don't even know what to call it. This open sewer of stuff that's just been flowing out for the last 4 or 5 years. And you have stockholders that are asking questions, but it doesn't matter because
mm,
Bob Iger has a captive board. He's appointed
mhm,
everyone that's on that board, and every one of them are sycophants to him. They're all
They're
there.
loyal. They're loyal.
Yeah,
Whatever he says, they'll agree whatever they tell him to. It doesn't even matter good or bad.
yeah,
That's what Nelson Peltz was actually trying to do.
yeah.
He was
mhm,
trying to make it so that the board won't be locked in like that into Iger and trying to, have a say in what goes on there. He did a lot of things correctly, but it's funny how when he saw that thing was already the second he understood that the vote wasn't going to go his way, he waited for the stock to get pumped and then ran away.
Yeah.
yep,
He
smart.
I made some cool money on that myself.
Nice.
Well,
But yeah, they have that captive board that is now they're no longer the point of the board is to be responsible to and responsive to the shareholders. They're supposed to
Mhm,
be there to represent the shareholders, and instead at Disney, they represent the people who are running the business. They don't take shareholder concerns into account at all. And so the when it comes to Disney, the only thing that's left is for them is for stockholders to actually have a stockholder lawsuit. And that is an incredibly complicated, lengthy, costly thing to do. But who knows? It in another year, Nelson Peltz may just do it, right?
mm.
Or their
Well,
stock will drop to such a level that Elon Musk just buys Disney because he can, and then things will get
that
really
would be
messy.
so great. If Elon Musk buys Disney, it'll be so funny if that ever happened. That seems like a fever dream, but if it
Yeah,
uh,
happened, that would be funny legitimately.
I was in the shower today, and for some reason, he popped into my head telling Bob Iger to F you. Well, it wasn't him directly, just that whole, you're going to blackmail me with money? Go
No,
F
it was to
yourself.
him directly.
And then
It
he
was
like,
directly.
hi,
He was in
Bob.
the audience.
He was in the audience, and he goes, "Oh, hi, Bob."
Yeah,
That cracked me up. It just randomly popped in my head today, and I started laughing.
Yeah, you're gonna try to bribe me with money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
Oh man.
I don't know. Whatever you think of Elon, I still like him just because he'll throw a middle finger to whatever.
He's an interesting character. I wouldn't say he's a morally upstanding citizen in every way.
Sure.
I'm sure he's done plenty of manipulating and he's made plenty of dick moves
Right,
in his
and
time.
he looks out for his own interests and all that.
He does.
But there is a feeling that he stands up and gives people the middle finger in a way that you somehow appreciate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's something I appreciate about that.
Yeah. He's very true to who he is and himself. He's not swayed by the public or somebody saying oh, you're so naughty, Elon. Like he doesn't care, right? He's just gonna be himself. And like I said, he's not the world's most upstanding citizen. He's probably not the world's smartest businessman either. I know that actually from a few different people, friend of a friend kind of thing. I know somebody who works at SpaceX, and many of them said, or what I was told was that most everyone there can't stand him because when he shows up, all he does is make messes that they have to clean up.
Well, that's any boss. That's
but
every
yes,
job.
he's I was like,
the door's coming through, and they're going to tell you everything that's wrong.
Exactly.
That you don't already know is wrong. No crap, man.
But that on the positive side, he hires the people that can do the work and the people who have the knowledge to do what needs to get done.
He knows how to put together an operation. There's nothing you can say. Maybe he's annoying to his employees. Maybe he's a pain in the ass. Something about how he puts businesses together. He must be doing something right.
It's just all bosses. All bosses are going to be a-holes that you don't like.
But yeah, I mean, remember when he bought X, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna crash and shut down in 2 days because he fired all these engineers." Well, here we are, like 2 years later.
I saw an image. I think
that was brilliant that he fired them. It was, sorry, Sean, I'll let you say, but that was brilliant that he fired them. He had 7,500 people. He dumped 5,000 of them, and the company continued to operate. That's just such a wise business decision. Yep. But go on, Sean. Sorry.
I saw an image. I don't know if it was last week or when. I'm like in and out of the internet constantly now, but it was like, I think he posted it where they were leaving San Francisco and they changed the sign to GFY, like go fuck yourself. And I was like, I really hope this is real. They were like moving out of San Francisco to go to like Texas or something, but the X sign was just those 3 letters, and I thought that was hilarious. No one saw it but me. Did my internet
but
crash?
Nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
That one,
has he already left San Francisco?
I would hope so. I don't know.
Professor, has he left San Francisco?
I really don't know. I know he was planning to, but I'm not sure how quickly that operation's happening.
Let me see if I can find it. I'll send it to you on Twitter if I can find it. Anywho.
Yeah, back to what we were talking about before. Ubisoft is facing a massive amount of pressure from inside to answer some questions about the choices that they made in some of the games that they've been developing. And on top of that, they have one investment firm that's I believe they hold around 1% of the stock for the company. And they've been working with a bunch of other stockholders and say that they've secured around 10% of the company's stock from different stockholders working together, essentially that are all going to be putting up a uh, some kind of referendum or something for the next stock next meeting of shareholders to say we don't trust who's running this company anymore, and it just all needs to be chopped up and sold off because that's the only way we're going to get money out of this company. That's harsh, right? That is cold. Like, we don't expect you to ever come back, so just gut the company, sell it off in parts, and let's move on.
I heard somewhere, I'm not even sure where, that they don't even need like that much of a majority of like the board or shares or whatever in France to make that happen.
No, they don't. I think they have to get to a total of 20%
Hmm.
to make that happen, if I remember. But yeah, it's fascinating to watch because we all know exactly why it's happening. They can try and ignore it. They can try and argue. They can try and tell us that the sky is orange and the grass is purple. But we all know the truth. We all know why this is struggling. It's because they've made some games that have all sorts of modern ideology stuff pressed into it, ugly characters, games that were supposedly quadruple A titles, right? They're supposed to be amazing games. And then we see the videos out there of the hilariously bad glitches that people were getting when they were playing Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. It's like arguing with a bunch of petulant, undeveloped children, but they're like 30-year-olds. And it's like, just because you want reality to be different, it doesn't make it happen.
Yeah, but they keep going down so much in their value. I really feel like this is a situation that they're not going to bounce back from. And if they completely
Nope.
collapse and fall apart, it'll be a real, I don't like to say win for the culture war because I dislike that whole idea of a culture war to begin with, but it'll be a win for anybody that wants none of their nonsense in games anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in that sense, I don't root for companies to go under or whatever it is, but I can't say that they don't deserve what they're getting now.
Well, they've earned every bit of it.
I
Yeah.
just root for like justice and learning lessons. And anytime that can happen, I'm for it. I want people to be held accountable, and I feel like that doesn't happen enough.
But on a different note, I don't know if you guys noticed this. This is just like, we're nearing the late stages of this show. So I just wanted to show you this thing so I can share my thoughts on it. Did you see this thing with Dave Grohl?
No.
So Dave Grohl wakes up the other day and posts, I think, an Instagram, and he says something like, "Hey guys, I want to tell you something personal. I fathered a child outside of marriage, and now me and my wife are really discussing things and trying to work it out." Like this kind of positive, like happy-go-lucky tweet. And the reason why it's funny is that Dave Grohl, and this has annoyed me for years, and I've never been a huge Grohl fan. I think he's a good drummer. I think he was good at drumming in Nirvana. Most of his Foo Fighter stuff I'm not a huge fan of to begin with, but he's
Mhm.
always trying to pretend to like that he's this like decent guy. You know what I mean? He works very hard, so you'll think he's like a swell guy. And I never really buy it. There's something about him that I don't buy. For example, I'll give you an example. There was a movie about I think it's called Sun Studios or something like that, about recording studios in Hollywood. Have you ever seen that movie? It's a documentary movie. Okay.
No,
So
I
in
haven't seen that. No.
I
in this
think I've heard of it.
documentary, there is a struggling studio that's lost a lot of money and they're in trouble. So Dave Grohl decides that, like, as they're falling apart and have to shut down, he like quote unquote does them a favor, and this console that's like legendary and has recorded like these top artists there for years, considered a special like sound console, he agrees to buy it from them. So then not only does he buy it, he brings movie cameras and does a documentary about how he's buying it and how great he is that he's buying it. And it's almost like, oh, they're in trouble. Look, I bought their console or whatever it is. And the whole thing that he's sitting there, it's like he's trying to like play coy and not wipe his own ass and say how great he is. But everything about that movie is an ego trip to me, but just one that's presented very cleverly. And I kept thinking to myself, if you have all this money to do all this crap and you really wanted to help them, why didn't you just help them save the studio? Like, him swooping in at the end with that console is annoying. And the second he has it, he takes the console to his own studio, and then he invites Paul McCartney to hang out and like use his console and play music and all these artists to record. And it's like, maybe you would have done a movie about how you save a recording studio that has financial difficulties. You invite your musician friends to here, you do some recordings, you boost up, awareness about them, and maybe you help save their operation. Nope, nothing of the sort. He just needed their consoles that he could take it to his own studio. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
There's something about that movie that he supposedly presented as this philanthropic, wonderful man, and I looked at it and thought, man, is this guy a douche?
Yeah, it doesn't look philanthropic at all. It looks deeply self-serving.
Yes,
Right?
it's like the whole thing is a whole like stroke fest of like making himself look good, and that's one thing. I'm considering saying something else, but it would put me in a situation that maybe I say too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think how to word it, if to even say it. I had a situation years ago where ooh, somebody I don't know if I should say it. You know what? I'll say it. Somebody that I know with a disability was going to a concert, and that concert were the Foo Fighters. Now, this person wanted, like, after the show, if it's possible to meet up. This guy was like a musician, but had a certain disability. I really thought it would be a nice gesture if he could take a picture with Dave Grohl, after the show, whatever it is. Now, nobody owes this to me, okay?
No.
Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody owes me a positive answer. I was trying to do a favor for somebody. It's a really long story. I made the call, and nobody owes me anything. Generally speaking, in most cases, if somebody doesn't want to do something, especially in Hollywood, you know what they do?
They ignore you?
Yes, they ignore you. They do nothing.
Mhm.
They say nothing. You never hear from them. You don't hear anything, and it is what it is. And then you know that you were ignored, and nobody ever responds. That's like the classic Hollywood thing. What happened with me on the day of the whatever this event was? I get a call from somebody working on Dave Grohl's team, and the person calls me and he says, "Yeah, I just wanted to call you and personally." And I'm thinking, well, anybody that called, I think I'm going to set this up. This is going to be fine. So I just wanted to call you and tell you that we got your request and we're not going to make it happen. I said,
Yeah.
Okay, you're calling me to tell me that you're not going to make it happen. He's like, yes, I wouldn't want you to think that we didn't call you to tell you that it's not happening. I'm like, I understand, but then I said, but I have a question for you. Why not after the show can we get just a picture and then the guy will go on his way? Yes, well, that's what I wanted to tell you. I wanted to call you and let you know that we can't make it happen. I said, I understand, but why? Well, after the show, he's going to his his own room, and then there's going to be people there. I said, I understand that. We don't have to sit for 5 hours with a guy. Can we just do this, picture thing? Well, that's what I wanted to call and tell you. We're not going to do it. And this is the conversation. This is a real conversation. And the more this guy is saying this to me, the more he's annoying me. And it's like, now, what's my conclusion out of all of this? This is just I'm speculating. I'm not saying it's hearsay, what I'm about to say. It's pure speculation. I think that Dave Grohl actually got the request, and Dave Grohl, being the kind of the way that I always presented, that he wants to seem like he's a swell guy, but he's not a swell guy, in my opinion, or he's kind of a hypocrite. He probably knew that it's not a good look that he's not taking a picture with this person. So in order to sort of head this off at the pass, everything was supposedly above board, and he probably told a person to call and like explain to me as if they're being so direct and upfront that I can't say that it's offensive. Now, honestly, they would have never called me and I would have been happier. To call me to tell me that like they're not going to do it is just that is a weird level of behavior.
I can see it being like naively thinking you're doing kind of a right thing, but I also see your perspective of it being really crappy.
I mean, the thing is, listen, I knew that the chances of this happening were slim, but at least
Yeah,
just don't answer me. That it probably would have been better. The idea of like they wanted me to say how great they are, but at the same time that they're actually just going to say fuck you. So I
yeah,
wasn't going to say that they're great. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a certain mentality. I
hmm
don't think this person that works for him would have made that call to me if it wasn't a situation that they were trying to put a spin on it, if that makes sense.
Where does that spin come from? Is that like we don't want to appear bad to the public, or is
Yes.
there like an actual guilty conscience behind it?
Yeah, it's a combination of guilty conscience, but also that like it won't seem later like they didn't see what would happen. Let's say if nobody answered me, they're probably thinking, "Oh, what if later somebody says, "Oh, I tried and nobody answered me." But the thing
Yeah.
is that I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done
hmm
anything. I also didn't do anything when they said whatever they said. This is the first time I've mentioned it, and the only reason I feel okay mentioning it because A, nobody knows who I am, and B, nobody knows who I'm talking about that I even tried to set this up for, and it happened like, I want to say 5 years ago minimum.
Mm.
So I feel like I'm in the clear here. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like I don't think
hmm
it's not some big event, but it said something to me about who he is,
He's got
along with
bigger
that,
problems.
along
Sorry.
with the movie with the console and all that other stuff. And everything about him, there's always something that kind of rubs me the wrong way. And then he goes and he's like, "Oh, this girl on TikTok, this young girl played drums. I'm gonna do a song with her." Yeah, yeah. Like there's always some annoying. And somebody said in the chat that Kurt was the better man. Kurt, I don't know if he was a good man or a bad man, but one thing I can say, he was a rock and roll guy.
He
He wasn't
definitely
sitting
had
around doing.
commitment.
What'd you say?
Was definitely committed.
Committed to being a rock guy for good and for bad, to a fault, whatever you want to call it. At
hmm
least like he cared about the music and the rock and whatever. With Dave Grohl, there's always some sniveling angle, and that's why like I never, as opposed to people are like he's the nicest guy in Hollywood. I never said that about him because I never thought that. I never bought his shtick. And at the end, like all this stuff with his wife and whatever, the reason I'm not judging in the sense that mistakes are made and marriages are marriages and people sometimes do things, and I'm not saying that everybody in the world is perfect and maybe they shouldn't be perfect. I'm just saying that considering the image this guy likes to present, this situation it exposes what I think about him anyways.
Sure. I
Like
never
if
really
if
thought
Kurt,
of him.
if Kurt Cobain did it, like everybody would be like, "Oh, of course!" Like he was be with a
He's
lot
a
of
rock
women, and now,
star.
yeah, he's a rock star. He's a lot of women, and there's another one pregnant. Like nobody would even be surprised. But
hmm
Kurt Cobain also doesn't call all day to try to like make himself look good and do like TikToks with little kids and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, he doesn't do any of that stuff. So I mean, even if he was alive today, I still think he wouldn't do it.
No, wasn't that kind of the point? Like I don't know specifically like why he ended his career, but wasn't it like seeing his music being commercialized
Yeah.
and
Okay.
hating
I mean,
it?
can you just imagine? Can you imagine Kurt Cobain today out there shilling for Kamala Harris?
Or just like his
And-
a song on like a Denny's commercial. I
yeah,
make fun of that
exactly.
constantly with my wife. Uh, I have honestly, there's only one song the Foo Fighters do, and I have never liked anything else that they've done. I've never understood the appeal of any of it.
So this is the announcement he made. He just suddenly one day posted this on Instagram. I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter, born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and children, and I am doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. We're grateful for your consideration toward all the children involved as we move forward together.
This
Man,
sounds
this
like who
this
cares?
this sounds like the president of Enron. You know what I mean? Like, what is this crap?
Hmm.
Or BP when they had like those seagulls that they had to like put Dove soap on. Like, who is he fooling here? What's he talking about? This is
Yeah,
this is like the most slippery statement ever, and I feel like he made it himself.
maybe.
He could have given it
Just
to a
wow.
publicist, but I'm saying like if it turned out that he himself made it, I wouldn't have been shocked either. So it's like totally on brand for him. And this I don't know why this reminds me of that incident. And maybe I'm just a weirdo that it reminds me, but it's like everything that I've thought about him is summed up into this statement.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and people were writing here and they understood it. Somebody wrote it here. Phantom Outsider wrote, and this is exactly what I was trying to say. Instead of, hey, I'm going to do a set in the studio with my celeb friends and give all the profits to the studio to help them stay open, nah. And that's exactly it. He's like, he sees that they're all falling apart. He takes their console, and the second he arrives at home, Paul McCartney is already there, like hanging out with him so they can play with the console together. And there's something like, man, this studio had a console that Paul McCartney is willing to, like, stop his schedule to come play with. Maybe invite him to the studio that wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
It just feels like a dick move. I don't know. You can put whatever spin you want on it.
Could have saved a legendary studio. Could have saved some jobs. You know,
he's either a dick or he's stupid.
Yeah. But he finds there's an opportunity there for himself and to aggrandize himself and make himself look good. Like this statement, man, this blows me away. It's hilarious. Who said something? I think it was Argentum in the chat said, "Hey, congrats on your infidelity, man."
Yeah, exactly. What's that statement supposed to do?
Okay, great. You're gonna get out in front of this story, huh? Yeah, sure you are.
I'll admit to it, but we're still gonna hate you.
This was this is a photo from that documentary that like he brought the console to his own. He has his own kind of studio that he owns, so he brought the console there, and then Paul McCartney arrives, and I think there were like other stars. It was such a pompous thing. I don't know if maybe there's an angle there that I didn't understand. I think that Dave was trying to say like, well, they were going to close, so if I bought the console, I'm really, in a way, I'm helping them out. But it didn't really feel like it. I feel like, I didn't see him trying to save their business. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen people hate on people like, Dave Portnoy, but Dave Portnoy went like from place to place and actually saved businesses. Maybe he's an acquired taste and maybe not everybody likes him, but he actually went out and did save people's businesses. And he, maybe what you see is what you get with him, and he just says stuff and he's in your face, at least he made an effort to save people's businesses. This is like a guy that always like is saying and doing the right thing, and at the end there's some other weird angle in the background.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Dave Grohl, of course.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy. He's an acquired taste. He can definitely be a dick, but he's just genuinely who he is. So you take it or leave it.
But let me tell you that during COVID, he did a lot of great things for businesses. He
absolutely did.
He made an effort and he helped a lot of people stay in business. And you know what? Sometimes that's enough. Like that's enough for me to give him that respect. I don't have to agree with all the stuff that he says or does. He also does a lot of sports stuff that's not, some of it is not of no interest to me. But generally speaking, I think that the guy, at least, he's very direct and in your face and says whatever he thinks, and maybe that's good and maybe that's bad. But sometimes a man is also measured when there's people in trouble and he actually stepped in and made an effort to help them. That's a lot more than a lot of other people I've seen. I don't know why I thought of him now, just because like Dave Grohl is sort of like the anti Dave Portnoy. they're like on two sides of a spectrum. One is like all goody two shoe, trying to present himself as the nicest ever, and meanwhile there's always something like shifty in the background. Whereas Dave Portnoy like will just curse you out and say the craziest stuff, but then somebody needs help and he actually goes to help them. So just worth pointing out there. But this was this picture of Paul McCartney. Maybe some people like this documentary. I couldn't stand it. It just annoyed me.
Yeah.
And then there was one show that he like brought out and he was like bringing out Rick Astley to sing songs with him. I mean, the thing is that I don't have anything against Rick Astley, but like, dude, you're supposed to be like the continuation of like a Nirvana type band. And all he does is this kind of like, oh, this little girl, I'll do a show with her. Like, he's just so... Oh, and then he's like, there's a little boy on the audience. I'm going to bring him on stage. Hey, little boy, let's play guitar together. It's like, dude, you're supposed to do rock and roll. Shut up already,
Stop wearing a Barney suit.
Right. Stop with this shit. Like you're supposed to be cool, not this shit. So yeah, I mean, Nirvana, like basically the peak of Dave Grohl was in Nirvana. He's a decent drummer. He's even a good drummer. Really did good job in Nirvana. But like that was his prime. That was the peak and the most like you could really get out of Grohl. If there's a singer that's a real singer, he could be there in the background. I also don't like his music. His music to me is like candy ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I only ever liked, I think it's Everlong, and then everything else I've hated.
Is There Goes My Hero? Is that him or is that somebody else?
Yeah, that's Foo Fighters, and I always want to like that song just because it mentions heroes, and I always hate it.
He doesn't have what it takes, in my opinion. I know people are going to be like, oh, like you idiot, he sold so many albums, everybody loves him. I don't care what they love. I don't buy him. Don't buy Dave Grohl. I mean, I don't buy him. But if you like him, it's fine. If you listen to Foo Fighters and you like his style, that's totally cool. I know people who love him that I just tell them that and they think, wow, like how can you not love him? And I don't. And if you do, it's fine.
They've never appealed to me.
Never appealed to me either. I don't know how this became. This was a strange late night twist that like I unloaded on Dave Grohl.
What led to it.
I can't believe I even told you the thing with the person, but it is a true story, so I told it. But
you said it as if you might accidentally glean your identity, and I have no clue. I know you know.
No, I don't think
that's about
think so. I thought about it like a long time before I said it, but you know what? I don't think I've given up anything. I was actually doing a favor, and that's why it was some random favor that I was trying to do for somebody, and I couldn't make it work. Because of the reasons I mentioned.
That's fine. You were still trying to do a favor, and
I was trying to do something nice. As much as like I'm a dick too, but at least first of all, I am whatever I am. It's not like I try something else. It's not. I don't try to pretend that I'm like nice or not nice. So tried to do the favor. It didn't work, and it is what it is.
Squid's got a squid.
I guess so. But I thank everybody for listening to all this crazy stuff. They're probably like, what is wrong with him? Like in the middle of the night talking about this Grohl guy.
Yeah. I couldn't name a Foo Fighters song if you asked me to. So
somebody said it was a good impersonation. Who was I impersonating? Was I impersonating?
I don't know. It sounded like Barney to me. That's why I just randomly said it.
I love you. You love
little boy, come on stage. But I guess on that very, very positive note, I guess let's just go around. Is there anything that we didn't touch upon today?
Well, I would say the funniest thing I saw today. I don't know if you follow Smash JT on YouTube. He has a site. He talks about gaming and so on. Most of the time, he likes to talk about stuff that he enjoys, but recently, obviously, he's been pulled into a lot of conversations about things that he doesn't love too much. And he got a cease and desist letter from everyone's favorite, Alyssa Mercanti.
Yes, I saw something like that. I sounded like the lady. All the time now, I sound like the lady from The Acolyte. Go on, though.
Yeah, no, it's just probably the funniest thing I saw on the internet all day was this cease and desist letter saying, we're gonna bring all sorts of things against you for defaming her and harassing her and whatever, because you said that she does sex work for money and all sorts of stuff, when quite literally she has Twitter posts saying, oh, I'm going to get out of this industry and go back to sex work because at least there I get paid when I get effed.
Like, she's admitted it herself. She said it herself in the past. Yeah.
I forget why I know her. Who was she going after before?
Oh, Alyssa Mercanti is one of the editors or the chief editor of Kotaku.
Oh, okay.
And they are a soon-to-be collapsed publication.
Was she going after like Grums for a while?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they've gone after it for a while. I'm sure she's blocked you, Price.
Yes, I'm blocked.
She's a joke. She's out there. she was doing what was the media event she was doing where she was like, fight me, like really, like find me on the street and fight me. And then people actually took her up on the offer, and she lost her crap about
And
it.
then she started protecting her tweets and stuff and blocking
Yeah,
everybody. It's like you
it's like
said it. You've said it. Don't run away. You challenge people. I mean,
people
That's
were offering bounties. Like, no, really, you go fight her. I will pay you money. Like,
that's the that's that cartoon meme of the woman shoveling crap over a wall, and then the crap comes back over, and she's
yeah,
like, "Help! Repression!"
help. But the cease and desist letter is hilarious and completely unfounded. And Smash JT made a hilarious video about it. And I mean, I feel bad for him. I mean, you get a legal threat like this, and I mean, you can't not take it seriously. I mean, it could ruin your career. It could hurt you. But at the same time, like him just reading it out, it's like, this is utterly baseless, just utterly and totally baseless. So yeah,
I have a
it's
feeling he's going to be fine. This is
oh,
just
he'll be
nonsense.
fine. Yeah.
This lady is unhinged and she's strange, and I don't know what her deal is. And she herself has said in the past that she did work like this. So if she said it, I don't really know what cease and desist she wants to give them. She's been talking about being a cam girl and things like that. I would have to look at her exact wording, but it's definitely very understood that she was in a situation that she'd provide a certain service that, if I understand correctly, perhaps maybe men would pay something and then she would give something in return, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, I mean,
That's called dating.
Yeah, I mean, she quite literally. I remember the tweet. It was when all this stuff was happening at Kotaku, and there was all sorts of stuff going down, and they had changed some of their editorial policy there, where they were basically saying they needed to make more game guides and less journalism and whatever. And
Argento said
so,
she writes those letters herself.
oh, I'm sure she does. I mean, supposedly the person who she lists as her lawyer is supposedly from this one firm, but if you go look at the firm, there's no mention of him anywhere at the firm. And so like it's completely bizarre.
It's like
Sounds
John
like a
Smith.
Simpsons character.
Yeah.
Her lawyer is John Smith.
And he's voiced by oh gosh,
Seth
Phil Hartman.
MacFarlane.
Phil Hartman. I couldn't
Yes.
think of his name.
Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
Lionel Hutz.
Lionel Hutz. I can represent you in court. Also, can I have this pizza that you threw out in your trash?
My card, it turns into a sponge.
Yeah.
I love
You get a
Lionel
free
Hutz.
smoking monkey.
Lionel Hutz was a great character. Man,
Oh, it was amazing.
Phil Hartman was really good at voices.
Oh, he was amazing. I love Phil Hartman. He was an incredible comedian. I loved his years.
He had
on
such great
SNL.
timing and such great comedic capabilities. There were certain things that like he was just perfect for.
Oh yeah, he was an amazing talent. I loved still to this day love News Radio. That ensemble cast and him playing off everyone there, so good. I was just heartbroken the day I found out that he had died. I loved his work so
He
much.
died in
I
a very
enjoyed-
strange situation. Didn't
Very.
he have a girlfriend that was
So, yeah,
doing weird things?
So he had been married for some time. His wife had drug issues, had issues with alcohol and drugs, and she had been in and out of rehab for years. And so she had recently gotten out of rehab. I think it had been less than 6 months, and had a relapse, get back on drugs, lost her mind, and came in and threatened him with a gun and ended up shooting him in bed. But they had a really tumultuous relationship, and but as it turned out, there's been numerous allegations that what is his name? Andy Dick. Andy Dick had who was, of course, is basically an unrepentant drug addict, was the one that gave her the drugs when after rehab and got her addicted again. And so he was blamed by a number of people for her and Phil's death, because she also took her own life after she killed Phil. and specifically John Lovitz had come out, kind of blaming her for that. John Lovitz and Phil Hartman were inseparable. They were incredibly close friends, and at some point later, Andy Dick made some joke while he was in John Lovett's comedy club about, I'm going to put the Phil Hartman hex on you. You're next. And you're going to die, whatever. And he beat the hell out of him and kicked him out of his club.
Oh, really?
I could say something here, but I probably shouldn't.
Do it. We want to know where you live and all your dark secrets.
I was once at an event. I kid you not. I was once at an event, and Andy Dick was there. And
I'm sorry.
And the thing is, he was so drunk. I'm saying like fumbling around, like, drunk, bothering people. Like people are like, ooh, get this guy away from me. And security came, took Andy Dick, and threw him out.
Yeah. Someone in the chat mentioned that his life's a wreck, and as I understand it, he was recently spotted sleeping on the street. Like he's completely thrown all of his money away and wasted it on drugs. Has nowhere to live. He's living off people's couches and whatnot at this point.
I think the last time I saw him, someone had punched him in the face, and
I'm not surprised.
Was like all swollen up, and that was like a few years ago.
I can't say maybe if he's sober and he's not the way I saw him, but like in the few minutes that I saw him fumbling around, that was really, and the way he behaved, if that's his like standard behavior, nothing you tell me would surprise me. And this was probably also maybe 5 years ago. And if that's how he was then, I can only imagine what he is now. And maybe it wasn't just drinking. Maybe there were other things going on with him. But he was like not functioning like a regular person. I mean, like touching and fumbling around, and like there was, like you just don't want to be next to him. You're like, get this guy away from me. That's like the vibe. And security came and got rid of him. I didn't say anything, by the way. I didn't tell security to get rid of him. I'm just saying that. It was a situation.
Have to, apparently.
No, I didn't have to. Trust me, I didn't have to do anything. Security noticed what was going on, and they were on it. But
cheery.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, listen, it's not that I'm important in all these situations that I say, like, in the food chain. I'm not very important or significant or anything. Sometimes I just happen to be in a certain situation.
Much more interesting situations to reflect upon than I ever have. So,
nah, it's not that interesting, really. But that did happen to me, so I mentioned it in both cases, in him and the Dave Grohl thing. Again, neither of these are very interesting incidents, but I spoke of them anyways.
It's fine, still interesting to me.
Well, it is what it is.
Yep.
I think
yes, dead man. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. You're right.
Was that Rick James
along with all the other things that he?
Yeah, that's a Rick James quote. Yeah,
Rick James.
Yeah,
that was so great. That stuff with Rick James on Dave Chappelle's show.
Yep.
Well, no, I think he actually said that in an interview.
He did say that.
A hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I forget what they asked.
He did that in an interview. He said that.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying they partied with Andy Dick once and watched him take numerous pills all at once with alcohol.
So he says Stephen Mack says there's a lot of stories like that going around. It doesn't surprise me. I didn't see that thing and thought to myself, this must be the first time this ever happened. The way that guy was acting and what he was doing, that looked like a situation that he's probably been through. If you told me he does that every night for years, I wouldn't be surprised. But still, the other thing is that in the few times that I've seen him maybe on a show, maybe somebody's talking to him like as if he's a regular person that's not a mess like that. So when I saw him, and then it's like, oh, it's that guy, and then like, oh shit, like what's wrong with this guy?
That guy.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing at that moment. It's kind of surprising, but but not all that surprising. And he does have a reputation for that.
Yeah.
I don't wish people bad either. It's not that I wanted him to, live on the street or whatever you were saying, but I will say that this guy seems to be, have problems.
Yeah. He's got demons and he's out of control, clearly. So
It certainly appears that way. But
yeah, it looks like back in 2022 he had to spend 90 days in jail, and now has to register as a sex offender for groping an Uber driver.
yeah, it doesn't
Jesus.
it doesn't surprise me if that at that party. And I'm saying this is a short occurrence of something that I saw, and that the security removed him. Even the little that I saw, if somebody was like in especially like combative mood, somebody might have said like, "Hey, you're inappropriately, touching people." Maybe he could get away with it because he looks like he's either drunk as a skunk or high as a kite or both. But I'm just saying that even there, there's probably at least one person there that if he would have said, "Hey, this guy is touching me inappropriately," it's possible that somebody would have done something. But maybe as a drunk guy fumbling around, he somehow got away with it.
That might be part of his shtick, and how
Maybe that's part
he
of it.
gets
He's like, I'm a
he
drunk
gets away with
fumbly
it.
guy. Look at, whoa, my hands.
That's like been his character for decades.
Right. I guess. But I want to make everybody feel comfortable here. He wasn't in my proximity. I don't know where his hands went. They weren't on me, but
He didn't grab you by the tentacles.
no, he didn't. But I will say that security were very quick to like pick him up and take him outside.
Yeah, they were probably just waiting.
Probably just waiting. They're like,
guys, Andy Dick's here. You're gonna have to throw him out here in a minute.
They're like,
that was
just
pretty much it.
Stop me! I can't wait.
Well, now that we've gone over these wonderful stories,
How we got there, I don't know, but we went
I don't know
there and we
either.
did it.
I don't know how we got there, and I want to thank the viewers that were so patient with us listening to all this crazy stuff.
From Dave Grohl to Andy Dick.
Dave Grohl,
But you know what?
we went through all of it. Yeah,
That's part of what's fun about our late night conversations, that we're just kind of shooting the breeze and letting the conversation go wherever it goes. Some people, they really go for we're talking about this subject now, we're talking about that subject, and that's fine. I respect channels that do that too.
Yeah.
But I think that here on the Night Owl, we just we also like to let the flow kind of carry us to wherever it does.
Just kind of take it where it goes.
I mean, we still stick to the main stories and make sure they're included in here, but we also like to go in different directions. So hopefully,
I try not to interrupt too much.
No, good, Sean. Everybody's good.
Interrupt more.
As I interrupt you.
Everybody contributes whatever they contribute, and I'm always grateful that we get to do this show and that you guys are here doing this with me. I appreciate it, both the Professor and Sean. They both have stuff that you guys should follow. Professor, you have a Rumble, I think, right?
I'm on Rumble and YouTube. I don't really post too much there, but you can definitely follow me.
You guys are welcome to follow him. And then Sean is the real Sean Crummel on YouTube. In addition, he has Crumb's Comics. Professor, you could probably put a link to Crumb's Comics. I think you're a moderator.
Yeah,
Can you put the link? I don't know. I could be wishful thinking here. And if you want, put your own Professor R2 on X or whatever you want people to follow. You should put that too. And I highly recommend it because Sean, he has his own comics and he does his own custom covers, and he's selling now his first issues, and he's really doing a great job with that. So you guys should check it out in Crumb's Comics. And
I'm actually doing one right now.
Yeah, he's doing custom covers and stuff. You should go and check out what he's doing. Smacked in the Head is a really cool. I mean, I'm still waiting. I need to get a comic so I can read it. But for all the visuals that I'm seeing, I really like what I'm seeing.
I've been swamped lately. We're trying to get issue 2 done so that we can go to this like one-day convention and try to sell some stuff.
Nice.
Well, I hope you succeed, man. It has its own cool look, its own design. It's kind of its own thing. And Sean also does it like very quietly without a lot of bravado or bothering people. He just does his own thing. And that's actually what makes it cool, in my opinion, that he's not, that he is kind of reserved and just doing what he really likes. That's usually a recipe for something that's good.
Thanks.
So yeah, check out all that stuff. There will be links in wherever they are. And if you like this stream, of course, do a like, do a comment, share with people. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, whatever platform you're watching on, you should subscribe or follow the channel. And of course, whatever platform you're watching, of course. And more than anything, I want to again point out that Rumble is a great place where we love doing this show, and that's like our home base for the show. And we're grateful again that everybody turned out and that you're all here. Before I go, let me do that thing where I scroll and see some people here. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. So John Richards, the problematic white guy, Robnut Skubla, Racerhead, Kivo 1961, Empress NM, Racerhead, I think I said, Robnut Skubla, I think I said, Mur Rockstra, Empress and M, I think I said. The Wolf from Heart. Kivo, I said. The Dead Man, Jama Lama.
Mars Monkey Max. Phantom
Mars Monkey
Monk,
Max was here.
Empress and M.
I think we said Empress and M. Racerhead, I don't know if I said. Jama
You
Lama, I
did.
think we said.
Joshua Calkins.
The Dead Man, Phantom Monk.
My
Was
computer
Joshua
died.
Calkins here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Jimmy Nature.
Jonathan Conroy. I've seen his name a few times. So I'm happy that he's, visiting us again. Caleb Levine, of course. Argentum. Phil got 230. And then
Smilex.
Smilex, sure. If I forgot something, let me know.
You're on your own. My computer died in the middle of an awkward conversation.
All right, let me continue to scroll. Me and my monkey. Thank you. Sprinter options. Joshua Calkins, King Henry 007. So sorry if I forgot something. Service Vero. Smilex. Mars Monkey Max, you said. Fav C. I love how Phantom Monk and Eraser and Empress NM shift from different platforms.
Yeah, they're going back and forth.
Back and forth. I love it.
Love it. Yep.
I hope I didn't forget anybody.
I think you're good.
If I did, I apologize. Really appreciate everybody that tunes in. You guys are great. Jay Goodwin. That was a late addition. Stephen Mack. I think we're good now. I think really now we covered everything. So on that positive note, again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thanks for our panel of hosts here. I'm Price of Reason. To my right, you had Professor R2. And then here on the bottom to my right, it's the real Sean Crummell. And thank you to everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Everyone out in Florida, stay safe.
Stay safe, guys. Good night.